So the year is Chongming 37 in the Great Xia dynasty. It's winter, and I'm about to freeze my everything off in these mountains called Green Ox Ridge. Let me back up. 3 months ago, I was a regular guy on Earth who worked himself to death. Literally, dropped dead from overtime trying to pay off a mortgage. Real heroic stuff. Then I woke up here as some teenage hunter kid in the middle of nowhere. At first I thought, hey, maybe I can use my modern brain to become somebody important. Maybe invent something. Maybe outsmart everyone. Yeah, no. This world is basically a nightmare with extra steps. The government is corrupt, taxes will crush your soul, local gangs run everything, and apparently there are actual monsters in the deep mountains that eat people. Fun. Right now I'm trudging through knee-deep snow in a cotton coat that's been passed down so many generations the cotton fell out ages ago. It's basically a jacket-shaped lie. I'm checking a trap I set 3 days ago. I even sacrificed a precious piece of dried rat meat as bait. The trap sprung all right, but whatever was in it escaped. All that's left is a chewed-up piece of my rat meat and some weasel tracks heading into the forest. Thanks, weasel. Really appreciate it. My stomach is screaming at me. I've eaten one frozen black bread bun in 3 days. I'm scooping snow into my mouth just to trick my stomach into shutting up. But here's the real problem. Tomorrow is tax day. Not real tax. Mountain tax, which is just protection money. The Black Tiger Gang controls every way in and out of these mountains, and every hunter, herb picker, and woodcutter has to pay them 500 copper coins a month or get wrecked. I reach into my money pouch and count my fortune. 37 coins. I need 500. I am, as they say, extremely screwed. And in case anyone thinks I'm overreacting, old Lou from the east side of the village was short 50 coins last month. The Black Tiger boys broke 3 of his ribs in public, tossed him in the snow overnight, and by morning, he was a human popsicle. Dead. Then there's Erguzzi next door, who talked back once. They dragged him off to the Black Wind Mine. Nobody comes back from that place. It's basically a one-way ticket to the underworld with extra manual labor. My body's original dad? Same story. Honest hunter, tried to go deeper into the mountains to earn enough for the tax. Something ate him. Didn't even leave bones. All he left me was a leaky shack, a mulberry wood bough so old it's basically a museum piece, and this wonderful debt to a gang of thugs. So here I am, a transmigrator who's about to get beaten to death over 463 copper coins I don't have. I didn't even get a cheat system. No golden finger. No mysterious old grandpa living in a ring. Nothing. Just frostbite and an empty stomach. But you know what? I already died once from working too hard like an idiot. I refuse to go out like that again. Even if I have to live like a sewer rat, I'm living. I pull out my bow, old, worn smooth by 2 generations of hands, bowstring half frayed, and decide to try one more time before it gets dark. If I can nail that wild chicken I spotted earlier, maybe I can scrape together a few more coins. A rabbit would be even better. That's a whole measure of rice. I crouch down and creep forward through the snow like a starving, shivering, pathetic lone wolf. Then, movement in the dead grass ahead. A colorful pheasant pokes its head out, pecking around for seeds under the snow. This is it. This is my shot. I knock an arrow. It's homemade. The shaft is crooked, the iron tip is rusty and dull, and I can't afford better. Story of my life, really. I hold my breath. Wind's blowing snow straight into my face. I'm trying to remember everything my body's old man taught about archery, lining up the shot on that pheasant. But my arms won't stop shaking. Too cold. Too hungry. The bird keeps wobbling around in my aim like it's doing it on purpose. Steady. Come on, steady. I let the arrow fly. It sails through the air like a wet noodle, lands in the snow a good 10 steps away from the chicken, doesn't even scratch bark on the way down. The pheasant literally clucks at me. I swear it sounded like laughter, and flaps off into the woods. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. No miracle moment. No divine intervention. Just a weak, starving kid who can't even hit a fat bird. I shake my head and go to pick up my arrow, because even a missed arrow is precious when you're this broke. The second my fingers touch the shaft, bong. Something explodes inside my skull like a giant temple bell going off. The whole world just freezes. Then this pale blue, see-through screen pops up right in front of my eyes. No warning. No fancy decorations. Just a few lines of old-style text glowing in the dim snow light. Wang Qing. Human. Lifespan. 16 out of 52. currently starving and freezing, running on fumes. And then, talent. Heaven rewards diligence, unique destiny. The description says, 1 part effort, 1 part harvest. Among all methods under heaven, only diligence is unbreakable. Every practice session of any martial art grants guaranteed progress. Ignores bottlenecks. Never regresses. All the way to the peak, current martial arts, none. And then a little bonus line. To help the host survive his immediate crisis, the system is gifting 1 free hunter skill, basic archery. This skill is not a martial art. I stare at this thing. Then I pinch my thigh so hard I almost scream. Not a hallucination. It's real. This is the golden finger. The cheat. The transmigrate a starter pack I thought I never got. My heart is hammering so hard I can feel it in my teeth. My blood rushes to my head, and suddenly I'm hot despite standing in a blizzard. Heaven rewards diligence. Effort always pays off. See, in this garbage world, hard work is usually worthless. Tons of people train through boiling summers and freezing winters their entire lives and hit a wall they can never break through. Others grind for decades only to get lapped by some rich family's kid who popped 1 pill. But this panel is telling me, as long as I practice, I improve. No walls. No going backwards. Ever. Do you understand what that means? Give me enough time and enough willingness to grind, and I can get infinitely stronger. This is the gamer's dream. This is the grinder's paradise. I force myself to calm down. Deep breath. Don't go screaming into the sky like an idiot. That's how you attract predators. Test it first. I pull the arrow out of the snow, wipe it off, and knock it again. This time my whole mindset is different. The despair? Gone. The panic? Evaporated. I'm focused like I've never been focused in either of my lives. I close my eyes and replay every detail of my old man's teachings. Feet shoulder-width apart. Body sideways to the target. Drop the shoulders. Sink the elbows. Breathe with the motion. 3 fingers on the string. My arms are still jelly, but I put everything I have into this one shot. Twang. The arrow flies, still not powerful, but way steadier than before. Thunk. It buries itself into a pine tree 10 steps away, sinks a good inch into the wood, tail still vibrating. And the blue screen flickers. Practiced archery seriously once. Experience 1. Basic archery. Not yet initiated, 2 out of 100, but it's not just numbers. The instant that text appears, I feel this tiny warm current flow into my arms out of nowhere. Like a little snake made of heat sliding through my muscles and tendons, loosening the soreness. And it's like invisible hands are adjusting my muscle memory. The feel of that last shot, the release point, how the wind pushed the arrow, all of it burns crystal clear into my brain. It's real. It's actually instant feedback. In this messed up, hopeless world, these little numbers on a floating screen are my lifeline. My only way out. As long as I practice, I get stronger. As long as I grind, I survive. I look up. Sky's getting dark. Normally, I'd have to be back in the village before nightfall, because these mountains at night are basically the underworld's waiting room. But tonight, I'm not going back. That leaky shack can't save me. Only this bow and this glowing panel can. I've got one night before the Black Tiger Gang comes knocking. All in, I pull out my last rock-hard bread bun, shove it in my mouth with a handful of snow, and swallow. My eyes go sharp. Wolf mode activated. Before those thugs show up tomorrow, I am grinding this basic archery skill until my arms fall off. Even if I cough up blood doing it, I'm grinding my way to survival. Night falls on Greenox Ridge, and it is dark. No moon, no nothing. The only light is the faint glow bouncing off the snow. Somewhere in the distance, things are howling, and I'm choosing not to think about what they are. I find a spot behind a big rock that blocks the wind, surrounded by dead bushes. Good enough. I'm not lighting a fire. Doing that at night in these mountains is basically putting up a neon sign that says, "Free meal here," for every beast and bandit in the area. So I just start shooting. Over and over and over. Knock. Draw. Aim. Release. That's my whole world now. Twang. Basic Archery 1. Twang. Basic Archery 1. Twang. Basic Archery 1. At first my arms are screaming after every 10 shots. I have to stop and rub my frozen muscles back to life. But as the experience keeps ticking up, those little warm currents start adding up. They go from barely noticeable trickles to actual streams of heat flowing through my arms, shoulders, and back. And here's the crazy part. My muscles are actually changing. These sad, malnourished noodle arms are getting tighter, firmer, stronger. The soreness fades faster each time, replaced by this feeling of fullness, power. This kind of boring, repetitive grinding would drive a normal person insane. But for me right now, it's the most beautiful thing in the world, because I can feel myself getting stronger. It's not some vague promise. It's real. Every single shot matters. My hands are torn up. The bowstring has cut deep grooves into my fingers, old wounds ripping open under new ones. I don't care. My eyes are getting sharper in the darkness, brighter, more focused. Basic archery, not yet initiated, 99 out of 100. One more. I suck in a breath of air so cold it feels like swallowing knives, but my head has never been clearer. I pull back the bow, and this time, it feels different. This heavy, stubborn bow that used to fight me suddenly feels like an extension of my own arm. 20 steps away, there's a tree about as thick as a forearm. In this darkness, it's barely a shadow. But to me, it's glowing. Twang. The arrow rips through the night like black lightning. Thunk. Straight through the trunk. The tail is still buzzing. And then my whole body jolts like I got struck by lightning. Basic archery. Initiated, 1/1000th. Acquired effect. Steady as stone, steady as stone. Arms draw the bow as if guided by gods. Muscle memory locked in. Within 30 steps, hit wherever you point, unaffected by wind or snow. Minor increase in arm strength. A wave of heat 10 times stronger than before floods my entire body. My arms feel like they could punch through walls. My vision sharpens until I can see the texture of tree bark dozens of meters away in the dark. I collapse into the snow, gasping. My stomach feels like it's on fire from hunger, and my body is completely spent. But I'm grinning like an idiot with all my teeth showing. If that pheasant showed up right now, one shot. Dead. No question. I look east. The sky is starting to lighten, that gray-white glow before dawn. Time to hunt. I stuff snow in my mouth and my eyes go full predator mode. With this leveled-up archery, I can finally go after the good stuff. Regular chickens and rabbits won't cut it for 500 coins. I move through the forest like a ghost. The hunting instincts my body's original owner left behind, combined with my new upgraded physique. It's like I was born for this. Half an hour later, I spot it. 30 steps away, next to a collapsed tree hollow. A big gray-brown shape twitching nervously. That's not a regular rabbit. That's an ironhide rabbit. These things have fur so tough normal blades can barely cut it. They're fast, smart, and bolt underground at the slightest noise. Before today, I would have walked the other direction because I literally couldn't pierce their skin. But now, I raise the bow so slowly it's like I'm moving through honey. Not a whisper of sound. 30 steps. That's the absolute maximum range for a normal hunter, and with this wind and snow the hit rate would be maybe 1 in 10. But my world is different now. I can feel the wind direction, calculate the snow resistance, even read the rhythm of the rabbit's breathing. Steady as stone, my arms lock. Zero trembling. I am a statue made of ice and iron. I can even predict which way the rabbit will turn its head next. Twang. The arrow screams through the air with a viciousness I've never produced before. The rabbit's ears go up. It senses danger, tries to spring away. Too late. The arrow punches straight through its eye socket and out the back of its skull. One shot. Instant kill. I don't rush out immediately. I check everywhere for anything that might be watching, waiting to steal my kill, or make me the next meal. Coast clear. I grab the rabbit. Heavy. Warm. Real. 100 coins in hand. I yank out my arrow, wipe the blood. The warmth of it on my frozen fingers feels weirdly exciting. One's not enough. More. I cover the blood with snow and move positions fast. Blood smell in winter attracts wolves. For the next 2 hours, I become the ghost of this forest. This place that used to terrify me is now my personal hunting ground. Then the system drops a new rule on me. Survival crisis partially resolved. From now on, basic archery requires effective hunting, killing live targets. Different creatures give different amounts to gain proficiency. Excuse me, system? You're adding conditions now? Are you nerfing me already? The system actually responds. Host's understanding is incorrect. Heaven rewards diligence means effective training, not mindless repetition. Martial arts involve breathing techniques, stance work, blood and energy circulation, bone and tendon tempering. The host must train according to the method, expend blood and energy, endure pain. Only then does proficiency increase. This is what diligence means. If simply swinging your fist at the air 10,000 times made you an invincible God fist master, that would violate the heavenly Tao. That's not diligence, that's something for nothing. Okay, fair point. I can't argue with that logic. The system already told me basic archery isn't a real martial art. It was a freebie to keep me alive. Now that I'm not about to die immediately, I can't just shoot at trees all day and expect to become a god archer. Makes sense. Real martial arts will require real suffering. Got it. By the time the pale winter sun is fully up, my basket is loaded. 5 fat ironhide rabbits and 1 flower-tail golden pheasant. A fancy bird with gorgeous tail feathers that rich people in town love for decorations. I lean against a tree, panting hard. My body is running on absolute fumes, but mentally I'm on fire. Quick math time. Ironhide rabbits go for 100 coins each. That's 500. The pheasant is rare, at least 200. Plus 2 field mice I grabbed along the way. Total, roughly 750 coins. Pay the 500 coin mountain tax, and I've got 250 left. Enough for dozens of pounds of rough rice, some cheap medicine, new arrowheads, and maybe even some cloth to patch up this useless coat. But I'm not selling all of it. I look at the fattest rabbit. 7 or 8 pounds of meat, for gleaming. My mouth waters so hard it hurts. I've eaten 2 bread buns in the last several days. My body is about to quit on me. Training takes calories, and without meat, I'll collapse. Keep the fat one for eating. Sell the rest. Should still be over 600 coins. Survive today, and with this system, next month I'll earn even more. No getting greedy. Time to go. I check the sun. Gotta be back before noon because the Black Tiger gang sets up at the village entrance at midday. Show up late, and it doesn't matter if you have the money. You're getting a beating anyway. I cover my basket with dead branches and leaves so it looks like I'm just hauling firewood. Then I hunch my back, take the hidden trails, and head down the mountain looking as pathetic and broke as possible. Even with new power, I keep my guard up. Rule number 1 of surviving in a chaotic world: never let anyone see what you've got. The village under the old locust tree is already packed with people when I get back. And by packed, I mean a bunch of terrified villagers lined up like sheep waiting to be sheared. The Black Tiger gang boys are sitting there like kings. Fur coats, long blades on their hips, a charcoal brazier burning nice and warm in front of them, while everyone else is turning blue from the cold. Real classy. There are also some bloody sacks piled near their feet, and I'm not going to ask what's inside those. The boss of this little operation is a guy they call Lou Oneblade. Big dude, nasty scar running from his eye down to his mouth that wriggles like a centipede when he chews. He's currently demolishing a roasted chicken with his bare hands, grease dripping everywhere. This guy has definitely killed people. Multiple people. He has that energy. Next. Stop wasting my time. You want to die? An old hunter shuffles up front, hands shaking so bad he can barely hold his money pouch. He dumps it on the table. Alu, sir, here's my tax. 480 coins. Could you give me 2 days? I'm just 20 short. I swear I'll. The old man is on his knees, banging his forehead on the frozen ground. Short 20 coins? Lou Oneblade tosses a chicken bone on the ground, wipes his greasy mouth, and grins. Oldly, you know my rules. Short, even 1 coin. You pay with flesh. 2 goons rush forward before the old man can even scream. One stomps on his arm. The other swings a blade sheathed down like a hammer. Crack. The sound of bone breaking is crystal clear. The old hunter passes out from pain and gets dragged away like a dead dog. The crowd stirs. Some people are angry. Some can't watch. But mostly, everyone is just scared. All heads go down. Nobody makes eye contact with these animals. I'm standing in the back, hat pulled low, showing nothing but my eyes. Cold cum eyes. My fists are clenching and unclenching inside my sleeves. This is what happens when you're weak. No reason, no fairness. Just raw violence and exploitation. My turn. I hunch my back, put on my best pathetic kick puppy face, and shuffle forward. On the way here, I already swung by Fumin Restaurant's back door and sold my kills for cash. That place squeezes you on price, but they pay fast and don't ask questions. Lou, sir, here's my mountain tax. Please count it. I hold out the bag of 500 coins with both hands, head bowed, respectful as a church mouse. Lu One Blade glances at me, but doesn't take the money right away. Those dead fish eyes scan me up and down, then lock onto my basket. This old dog has predator instincts. I can tell he's already noticed something's off. Every other hunter came back empty-handed and half-frozen. But here I am looking rosy-cheeked and energetic. Plus, I smell like blood. Can't hide that from a guy who's been around killing his whole life. He grabs the bag, weighs it in his hand, and smiles. Not a friendly smile. 500? Numbers check out. I let out a tiny breath. Thank you, Lu sir. I start to turn away. Hold it. His blade whips sideways, blocking my path with a gust of wind. My heart slams against my ribs, but I keep the scared rabbit expression on my face. Why yes, Lu sir? What else? He stands up. His shadow swallows me whole. Kid, I can tell you're a sharp one. Everyone else comes back empty in this weather, but you've got fresh blood on you. Looks like you hit the jackpot in there, huh? My gut tightens. I stammer out. Lu sir, you're too kind. I just got lucky. Found some frozen mice, barely enough too. Lucky? He steps closer, eyes going full greedy wolf mode. Well, if you're so lucky, you should show some gratitude. Rules changed. He holds up 2 fingers in my face. Boss's orders. Snow's heavy. Brothers are working hard. Starting this month, mountain tax goes up to 600 coins. What? 600? I've got about 100 coins left for buying rice. If I hand that over, what do I eat this month? And this isn't even a real price hike. This is him eyeballing me specifically because I look like I have money. Targeted extortion. What's with that face? You got an opinion? Or would you rather discuss it with the blade here? His fingers tap the hilt of his sword. Talk, talk, talk. The other goons close in, arms crossed, grins wide, eyes hungry for entertainment. I look at their ugly faces. I hear the old hunter groaning in the background. Rage erupts inside me like a volcano. Right now, with my steady as stone ability, if I had distance, I could put an arrow through Lu One Blade's skull before he blinked. I could absolutely kill this man. But then what? There's 5 or 6 of them with blades. If they close the gap, I'm dead. And even if I somehow survived, killing a Black Tiger gang captain means the entire gang comes after me. I'd never be safe anywhere near this town again. Can't be impulsive. Not yet. Play dead. Stay low. Survive. I force myself to breathe. My spine bends. That flash of killing intent vanishes like it was never there. Lu sir, I didn't bring that much. My voice cracks, and I put on a voice like I'm about to cry. 500 is really all I have. No money. His hand goes to his sword. Then pay with goods. I can see your basket stuffed. What are you hiding in there? He reaches for my basket, my food. The rabbit I was saving to fuel my training. I flinch back and quickly pull the fat ironhide rabbit out from the bottom myself before he can dig around and find anything else. Lu sir, don't search, don't search. I've got this rabbit I just caught. Was going to eat it myself. Here, take it. Consider it covering the extra 100, a gift for you and the brothers. I hold out the fattest, most beautiful rabbit with both hands. Lu One Blade snatches it, bounces it in his grip, and his eyes light up. Oh, nice. Fat ironhide rabbit. This is worth at least 100 coins easy. He looks at me with something between surprise and amusement, then reaches out and slaps my face. Not gentle. My cheek burns and my teeth rattle. Smart kid. This rabbit's perfect. Boys needed a snack anyway. 100 coins of tax. Paid. My heart is bleeding. That rabbit was supposed to be my training fuel. Get lost. He waves me off like I'm a fly. But as I'm turning to leave, that creepy voice comes one more time. Oh, and kid? Next month? It's not 600. It's 800. Come up short by even 1 coin, and I'm taking a leg. Don't be stupid like Oldly. My feet freeze to the ground. 800? These animals just keep pushing. They won't stop until I'm dead. Why, yes, yes. Thank you for letting me know, Lu sir. I nod like a bobblehead and scramble away through the laughing crowd. Nobody notices the murder in my eyes because I keep my head buried so low I look like a stray dog that just got kicked. Back in my shack, door bolted, I touch my swollen cheek and spit blood on the floor. Bastards. I thought I could lay low and quietly level up. But these parasites are so greedy, they won't even leave me room to breathe. Even if I somehow scrape together 800 next month, Lu One Blade will just raise it again. As long as I'm willing to suffer, there will always be more suffering waiting for me. If you won't let me live, then you die first. I pull a chipped whetstone from under my bed, spit on it, and start sharpening my arrows one by one while planning exactly how to kill Lu Oneblade. Can't do it in the village, suicide. Can't do it on the main road, too many witnesses. But here's the thing about Lu Oneblade. He's a disgusting pig. Every month after collecting protection money from all the villages, he goes straight to Widow Alley in town to relax. Widow Alley doesn't actually have widows. It's basically an underground red light spot. And after a man finishes that kind of business, he's at his most exhausted, most relaxed, most off guard. That's when I'll get him. The oil lamp flickers in my shack, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Water's boiling in a cracked clay pot, and for the first time since I got to this world, the smell of actual food fills the room. I'm sitting cross-legged on my plank bed with a chipped bowl full of rough rice topped with field mouse meat. Yeah, mouse meat. The stuff Lu Oneblade apparently considered beneath him. His loss, my dinner. I eat like a starving wolf. The rice is so coarse it scrapes my throat going down, and the mouse meat is sour with a lovely dirt aftertaste. But right now, this is the greatest meal I've ever had in 2 lifetimes. I need the energy. Tonight, I'm killing a man. I wipe my mouth with my sleeve, and this warm, full feeling spreads through my whole body. Part of it is the food. Part of it is the anticipation. Full stomach. Time to work. I grab my mulberry bough from the corner. I've rewrapped the grip with cloth strips for better hold in the snow. My quiver has 10 arrows, all freshly sharpened. Every single one is coming with me tonight. Can't be too careful when you're committing your first murder. I blow out the lamp. Darkness swallows everything. I push open the door, and the wind hits me like a frozen fist, ice crystals stinging my face. The snow is even heavier now. Perfect. Dark moon, howling wind, murder weather. I strap my rusty hunting knife to my outer thigh, tighten my belt, and plunge into the blizzard, heading for town. Widow Alley is tucked away on the west side of Greenox Town. Alley is generous. It's basically a narrow, filthy lane between rows of crumbling mud brick shacks. During the day, women won't go near it. At night, men can't stay away. It's well past midnight and most of the town is dark and sleeping, but this little stretch still has a few red lanterns glowing in that suggestive way. Drunken laughter and drinking games leak through closed doors. I slip into the shadows at the mouth of the alley like a cat made of darkness. There's a huge old locust tree here, thick as 2 men hugging it. No leaves in winter, but the branches are fat enough to hide on. From up here, I can see the only exit from Widow Alley. No matter which girl's place Lu Oneblade crawls out of, he has to pass right under me to get back to gang headquarters. I settle in and wait. And wait. The wind keeps shoving ice down my collar. My coat turns into frozen armor. My limbs go numb. Every breath steals more warmth from my body. 1 hour passes. 2 hours. The noise in the alley dies down. A few drunk guys stumble out with messy-looking women hanging off them, zigzagging into the night. I don't move. I don't even blink faster. I've done this before, spent 3 days and nights waiting for prey in the mountains. This is just another hunt. Frost is forming on my eyelashes. My legs are losing feeling. I'm starting to wonder if I'll need to amputate something after this. Then, footsteps. Sloppy, heavy footsteps. And that unmistakable broken gong voice. Huh. That little peach blossom, she really. HIC. She really knows how to. HIC. My pupils shrink to pinpoints. He's here. I quietly flex my frozen fingers back to life, reach into my quiver, and knock an arrow on the bowstring. 3 shapes wobble out of the alley. The big one in the middle, swaggering with his sword clanking at his hip, that's Lu Oneblade. 1 lackey on each side, carrying lanterns, holding his arms, kissing up to him nonstop. Lu Sir is incredible. That little peach blossom acts all high and mighty usually, but she melts for Lu Sir. Obviously. Who in this whole town would dare disrespect Lu Sir? Lu Oneblade is eating it up, face flushed red, breathing booze fumes. Damn right. Back in my day, HIC, I chopped down 7, 8 guys with 1 blade. They're getting closer. 50 steps. 40. 30. I stop breathing. At this range, with basic archery plus steady as stone, I basically can't miss. But there are 3 of them. Lu Oneblade dies first. He's the only real fighter. The 2 bootlickers are nothing without him. I lock my entire focus onto his greasy, red, drunk face. A gust of wind rips through the alley. The lantern flames dance wildly, light flickering in and out. Now, My eyes flash cold. Both arms engage. The mulberry bough bends into a perfect crescent moon. Twang. The bowstring sings, barely audible over the howling wind. The arrow launches like a viper striking through the snow, aimed dead center at Lu Oneblade's throat. In my mind, this is already over. 1 second from now, this arrow punches through his windpipe. He can't even scream, and he drops like a sack of, but reality is crueler than plans. The instant before the arrow hits, something changes. Lu Oneblade, this sloppy, stumbling, blackout-drunk degenerate, suddenly goes rigid. Every muscle in his body snaps, taut like a coiled spring. Years of living on the edge of a blade have given this man animal instincts. The hair on the back of his neck stands straight up, killing intent. In a fraction of a heartbeat, faster than thought, he jerks his head sideways and throws the wine jug in his left hand up in front of his face. Thwack, crash. The arrow shatters the jug, keeps going, scrapes across his cheek, rips off a line of blood drops, and buries itself in the wooden door behind him. HHH. Lu Oneblade staggers back, clutching his face. Blood pours between his fingers. The arrow's barbed tip shredded half his cheek and nearly took his ear off. But he's alive. He's alive. Who? Which son of a dog dares ambush me? He's instantly half sober, rage and shock fighting for control of his face. His right hand whips out that big-backed cleaver, and it catches the lantern light with a cold gleam. Behind my tree, my heart drops into my stomach like a stone. He didn't die? How is this guy still alive? He was drunk, stumbling around like a man with no bones. And he still dodged a kill shot at 30 steps? Cold sweat soaks through my back instantly. So this is the difference between a real fighter and a regular person. I seriously underestimated Lu Oneblade. I seriously underestimated how strong people in this world can be. But there's no time for regret. If I let him recover and close the distance, I'm the one who dies tonight. Again, I shove down the panic and force myself to think. 1 arrow didn't kill him, then 2, 3. Sneak attack failed. Then we do this the hard way. The 2 lackeys are still standing there frozen like idiots, so I draw again. Twang. Second arrow flies straight at Lu Oneblade. And this maniac, in near total darkness, bleeding from a shredded face, hears the arrow coming, swings his cleaver upward, and clang. Sparks. He split my arrow out of the air. He literally cut a flying arrow with a sword in the dark. My jaw is somewhere on the ground right now. Is this even human? This is the gap in combat power. I am in way over my head. He's behind that old tree. Get him. I want him alive. I'll skin him. The 2 goons snap out of it, toss their lanterns, pull their blades, and charge at me screaming. 30 steps. For grown men sprinting, that's a few breaths at most. Death is rushing straight at me. Run? No time. Turn my back, and I get chopped to pieces. Something snaps inside me. Cornered animal mode. On. I ignore the 2 charging goons completely. My eyes lock onto Lu Oneblade. He's the boss. Kill him, and the others fall apart. Steady as stone. Hold steady. I'm screaming inside my own head. My arms are shaking from the tension, but I bite down so hard I taste blood and force the skill to activate. The world slows down. The charging goons. The falling snowflakes. Lu Oneblade's twisted, bloody face. Everything goes crystal clear. My hand blurs into the quiver and pulls out 2 arrows at once. I've never tried this before. Rapid-fire double shot. Twang. First arrow, aimed at the front goon's thigh. HHH, he drops like a sack of rice, rolling in the snow, clutching his leg. Lu Oneblade flinches. His feet hesitate for just half a second. That's the opening. Without any pause, riding the momentum of the first shot, I knock the second arrow. This time I don't aim for his throat or his head. He's got the cleaver covering his upper body. I tilt the arrow tip down, just slightly. His belly, unprotected. Twang. This arrow carries everything. All my hatred, all my frustration. 3 days and nights of freezing, starving, bleeding practice condensed into 1 shot. The arrow schemes the ground like a black streak of light, kicking up a trail of snow powder. Lu Oneblade sees it coming, tries to swing his blade down to block, but the angle is too tricky, too low, too fast. Faster than anything I've shot tonight. And oh, too late. The arrow punches into his unguarded gut like it was made of paper. Sinks deep. Only the feathered tail sticks out. His whole body locks up. The cleaver clangs to the ground. He looks down at the crude wooden arrow buried in his stomach with an expression of pure disbelief. Him, a skin-tempering realm martial artist, a Black Tiger gang captain, taken down by some teenage hunter kid with garbage equipment. Then the pain hits. AAGHH, he crashes to his knees. Blood pools in the snow around him instantly. Lu sir. Lu sir. The remaining goon panics, rushes over. But Lu Oneblade shoves him away. Don't worry about me. Kill him. He's coughing blood foam, pointing at me with murder in his dying eyes. I'm gasping for air, arms so sore I can barely lift them. That rapid-fire combo burned through every drop of energy I had left. But I can't stop. Lu Oneblade is down, but not confirmed dead. And the last goon just picked up a lantern and is shining it this way. The yellow light cuts through the snowstorm and lands directly on my face. For one frozen moment, the goon and I stare at each other. He sees a young, pale face, full of killing intent, and then recognition hits. It's you? His eyes go wide and his finger shoots out at me. You're the one from today? The little hunter kid who paid the tax. My stomach drops through the floor. No. The plan was kill everyone in the dark, leave no witnesses, disappear like a ghost. But Lu Oneblade was too tough, took too long, and now this guy has seen my face clear as day. It's him, the kid named Wang Qing. The hunter, he's screaming like he just won a prize, shouting for all the world to hear. Help! Someone attacked Lu sir. It's the hunter Wang Qing. His voice echoes through the silent night streets. Lights start flickering on in nearby buildings. From the Black Tiger gang's outpost down the road, I hear boots stomping and dogs barking. Damn it! I grab another arrow, try to shoot this loudmouth, but my hands are shaking so bad from muscle spasms after that rapid-fire burst that the arrow slips right off the string. Too late anyway. I can already see torch light in the distance. At least a dozen people charging this direction. If I stay even one more minute, I'm dead. I make the hardest call, abandon the kill shot. I stare hard at Lu Oneblade twitching in his pool of blood. That arrow hit something vital. Even if a miracle doctor showed up right now, that gut wound should be fatal. Should be. I spin around and run. Not toward town. Black tiger eyes and ears everywhere. That's a death trap. Not toward my shack. Identity's blown. They'll surround it first thing. The only way out is behind me, Greenox Ridge. 1,000 miles of freezing, beast-filled mountain wilderness. Catch him. Don't let him escape. There. He's heading for the mountains. Release the dogs. Tear him apart. Shouts and barking explode behind me. I don't look back. I drop low and sprint through knee-deep snow like my life depends on it, because it literally does. The wind slices my face like razors. My lungs feel like they're on fire. But adrenaline is a beautiful drug. I'm running faster than I ever thought possible. I stick to the thorniest, nastiest paths I can find. My coat gets shredded on brambles, my skin gets slashed open, and I don't feel any of it. Getting caught means getting hacked into pieces. Pain is a problem for future me. 1 mile, 2 miles, 5. The torchlight behind me fades into the blizzard. The dog barking gets choppy as the wind shifts. I don't stop. I run 10+ miles in one shot, all the way into the dense outer forest of Greenox Ridge before I finally slow down. This place is terrifying even in daylight. In a midnight blizzard? It's basically a horror movie set. But compared to the humans back in town, these mountains full of wild animals actually feel safer. I collapse behind a boulder, body completely spent, gasping like a dying fish. I pull up my status panel. Basic archery, initiated 10/1000. What a disaster. I don't even know if Lu Oneblade is dead or alive. And meanwhile, I've been chased out of town like a stray dog with my identity fully exposed. Big loss tonight. Really, really big loss. Yeah. I let out the most pathetic laugh of my 2 lifetimes. You know what my problem is? I got cocky. I practiced archery for one night, killed some rabbits, held a few copper coins, and suddenly thought I was somebody. Thought I could go poke the Black Tiger gang in the eye. This world EATS people, and I forgot that for 5 whole minutes. That Lu Oneblade, blackout drunk, and he still sliced my arrow out of the air like he was swatting a fly. That's what real combat experience looks like. That's what years of killing people buys you. If I hadn't pulled off that lucky rapid-fire shot at the end, my head would be decorating that old locust tree right now. No wonder every transmigrator in those web novels plays it safe. Not playing it safe gets you actually dead. I scoop up some snow and wet my cracked, sticky mouth. My situation is absolutely beautiful. All the food and money I earned. Sitting in my shack back in the village, which the Black Tiger gang has probably burned to the ground by now. Back to square one. No, worse than square one. Before I was just poor. Now I'm a wanted killer. Let me check what I've got. Mulberry bough, still here. Where I go, it goes. Arrows, started tonight with 10. Used 3 on Lou 1 blade. 1 on the goon's leg. Dropped 1 when my hands cramped. 5 left. These 5 sticks of wood are literally my entire net worth. Hunting knife strapped to my leg. Thank God I didn't lose it running. It's rusted to hell, but it beats a sharp rock. And this glorious ancestral cotton coat, which the thorn bushes turned into a collection of ribbons during my escape. Not exactly heirloom quality anymore. This game really is trying to kill me on the tutorial level. 2 options. Option A, stay here, wait for the Black Tiger gang to find me, use my 5 arrows to take a few with me, then get chopped into mincemeat. They'll probably bring my head back as a trophy. Option B, go deeper, into the inner mountains of Greenox Ridge. The place every old hunter says is certain death, full of monsters, demons, spirits, things that shouldn't exist. But here's the thing. Humans are scarier than any beast. Those gangsters live off robbing villagers and partying every night. No way they're risking their cushy lives chasing one broke teenager into the death zone of the mountains. They're not that dedicated. Better alive and miserable than heroically dead. No hesitation. Decision made. Into the mountains. As long as I'm breathing, I have a chance. I've got heaven rewards diligence. Give me time. Even if I have to live like a caveman in these mountains, and I will come back stronger. I use the bough as a crutch and drag myself out of the snow. My legs feel like they're filled with wet cement. Every step takes a full, teeth-clenching effort. I take one last look toward Greenox Town. Then I turn and walk into the black forest without looking back. I walk for a full day and night. No trail. I just plow through knee-deep snow. No compass. I just walk against the wind direction. At first I'm running on leftover adrenaline and rice porridge energy, but once that burns off, the real suffering starts. My stomach is eating itself. The acid churns so hard I want to rip bark off trees and chew it. And the cold. My hands and feet stopped being mine hours ago. They're just frozen things attached to my body that move mechanically. My eyebrows and hair are solid ice. My breath freezes before it even leaves my face. Can't stop. Stopping means dying. That one thought is the only thing left in my foggy brain. The trees get bigger. Some are so thick for people couldn't wrap their arms around them. The snow gets deeper. Each step sinks in so far I can barely pull my foot out. This is the inner zone of Greenox Ridge. I physically cannot go any further. And hopefully those thugs aren't psycho enough to chase me this deep. If they did, well, I'll just accept my fate at that point. I collapse against an old pine tree, heaving for air. Then, a tiny sound. Scratch, scratch, claws digging in snow. Something alive. Every dying cell in my body wakes up. I hold my breath and sink lower, melting into the snow. 30 steps away, on a sheltered slope, a white shape is moving. Snow rabbit. Smaller than an ironhide rabbit, pure white except for red eyes. Ears spinning like radar dishes, ready to bolt down its hole at the first hint of trouble. I swallow hard. This is life or death. Kill this rabbit, eat it, drink its blood, I survive. Miss, and I'm done. That last spark of energy goes out, and I freeze here forever. My hands are trembling. The bow that normally feels weightless now feels like it's made of lead. Hunger, nerves, excitement, everything working against me. If I miss this shot, it's over. Actually over. Deep breath. Ice-cold air floods my lungs and clears my head just enough. I raise the bow. My left arm is mush, but I clench my jaw until it hurts and force steady as stone to activate. A tiny warm current flows through. My shaking arms miraculously stabilize. Twang. The arrow cuts through the snowstorm like a death notice from the underworld. The rabbit's legs tense. It sensed danger, but the arrow pins its neck to the ground before it can jump. Blood sprays across the white snow. Violent red on pure white. Got it. I scramble over on all fours, half crawling, half falling. I grab the twitching rabbit with both hands. Warm. Alive. Warm. That's the heat of life itself. I stare at the blood pumping from the wound. That salty, metallic smell that would normally make me gag? Right now it smells better than any 5-star restaurant meal. I yank the arrow out, press my mouth to the gushing wound, and drink. Gulp, gulp. Hot, salty, iron-flavored blood slides down my throat and into my stomach. Little bit nauseating, sure. But being picky is a luxury for people who aren't about to die. Survival first, dignity later. As the warm blood hits my gut, the bone-deep freeze that's been killing me slowly loosens its grip. A tiny bit of strength trickles back into my dead limbs. I drink until there's nothing left. Then I wipe the blood off my face, hack off a chunk of raw meat with my rusty knife, and shove it in my mouth. Raw rabbit meat has the texture of a rubber band and the flavor of something that should absolutely be cooked first. I chew it like it's the finest steak in the world and swallow it whole, tendons and all. Every bite is survival currency. Half a rabbit later, I stop. My stomach has something in it now. That's enough. The rest gets wiped with snow and tucked inside my coat. Who knows when I'll find another rabbit? This meat needs to last. With food in my belly, I trudge through the faint snowlight looking for somewhere to sleep. Luck's still barely on my side. I find a narrow crack in a hillside. I toss a rock in, listen for animal sounds. Nothing. I gather armfuls of dead branches and leaves, stuff myself sideways into the gap, pile the branches across the opening to block wind and hide the entrance, spread leaves on the ground as a bed, and collapse. I am unconscious before I finish lying down. Morning light squeezes through the cracks in my rock shelter and lands on my face, which I'm told is blue. I wouldn't know. I can't feel it. I'm alive. I breathe out a thick cloud of white fog and start rubbing my cheeks until the stinging comes back. Yep, still here. Didn't freeze to death in my sleep. Today's off to a great start by my current incredibly low standards. My stomach immediately reminds me it exists. The half-rabbit in my coat has frozen into a literal rock overnight. Need fire. Eating frozen raw meat is a fast track to dying from the inside out. I crawl out of my crack in the hillside. The storm stopped. Everything is blindingly white, and my eyes hate me for looking at it. I gather dead brush, dig around pine tree roots for dry moss and pine needles that the snow hasn't soaked through yet, find a hard stick, carve a little pit in a chunk of rotten wood with my knife, stuff moss in it, and start drilling. Friction fire. All muscle and patience. HSSSS. HSSSS. The stick spins between my palms. My skin tears open within minutes, but I can't stop. If I lose the heat build-up, I start over. First try. Nothing. Second try. Nothing. Third try. My arms are about to fall off when a thin wisp of smoke finally curls up from the wood, smelling like burnt toast. I cup the ember like it's made of gold, blow gently, and poof. A tiny orange flame blooms to life. Warmth. Actual warmth. Hitting my face for the first time in what feels like forever. My whole chest unclenches. I build the fire up quickly, skewer my frozen rabbit chunk on a stick, and hold it over the flames. Sizzle. Sizzle. Fat oozes out and drips onto the coals, making the most beautiful sound in the universe. The smell of roasting meat fills the air. No salt. No seasoning. Half of it's burnt, half of it's still bloody. When that first bite of hot rabbit meat slides down my throat, I almost cry. Actually, genuinely, almost cry. Full belly, warm body, brain working again. Time to think about the future. I look back at my sleeping crack. It's terrible. I can barely fit in there curled up like a shrimp. My legs can't even straighten, and wind blows through from every angle. One real blizzard, and I'm a frozen popsicle in a stone coffin. If I'm going to survive long-term in these mountains, I need a real shelter. Time to upgrade. There's a big overhanging rock above my crack, natural roof, free of charge. I grab my rusty knife and head into the trees. Chopping wood with a dull knife is exactly as miserable as it sounds. I pick dead pine trees about wrist thick and hack away. My knife vibrates so hard my palms split open again, blood mixing with sap. The usual. 2 hours later, I drag back a dozen logs. I lean them against the rock wall at an angle, jam the bottoms deep into the frozen ground. Then I weave flexible brush branches horizontally through the frame to make a skeleton. Still too drafty. I haul pine branches from the forest and layer them thick on top, like building a giant pine needle raincoat for my shelter. Last step, walls. I pack snow mixed with dirt into every gap between the branches, sealing the whole thing up. I leave one small hole on the sheltered side, just big enough to squeeze through. By the time I finish, it's getting dark. I crawl inside. It's not exactly a luxury apartment, but there's room to sleep and move around. I carpet the floor with thick layers of dry pine needles and dead leaves. Soft, springy, smells like pine resin. I move the fire to the entrance. The low ceiling traps the heat and circulates it inside. Outside, the wind is screaming. Inside, warm and cozy. Now this is a place a human can live. I slap the dirt off my hands, and that panicked fugitive feeling finally starts to fade. Shelter, solved. Food, solved. Next problem, clothing. I sit by the fire and start working on yesterday's rabbit skin. There's still fat and meat scraps stuck to it. If I don't clean it off, it'll rot and go stiff and be useless. No proper scraping tools, so I use the back of my knife blade and carefully scrape the hide clean. Too hard, and I'll tear through it. Too soft, and the fat stays. Boring, tedious, mind-numbing work. I was kind of hoping this would trigger the blue panel and give me experience points, like some kind of crafting skill. But after half an hour of scraping, the screen stays completely blank. So heaven rewards diligence only counts martial arts, not chores. I laugh at myself, but honestly, that's reassuring. It means the talent is specifically designed to make me a fighter, not a jack-of-all-trades handyman. Good to know. Still gotta do the work though, system credit or not. 2 hours later, I've got a reasonably clean rabbit hide. I stretch it out near the fire to smoke dry it for preservation. Need a needle and thread. I look at the pile of rabbit bones from my meal. Pick out the hardest leg bone, grind it to a point on a rock, then use my knife tip to very carefully poke an eye hole at the thick end. Bone needle, complete. For thread, I pull the big tendon from the rabbit's hind leg. Once dried and split into thin strips, this stuff is tough as wire. I peel off my beloved ancestral coat. This garment is now officially more whole than fabric, especially around the shoulders and elbows where all the cotton stuffing escaped long ago. It's basically wearing a suggestion of clothing. I cut the half-dried rabbit skin into 2 pieces and patch them over the worst areas, the shoulders and back where the wind cuts deepest. Threading bone needle through thick cloth and raw hide is brutal. I find a smooth river pebble to push against the needles, but end and go stitch by stitch. My needlework is absolutely hideous. The stitches zigzag around like drunk centipedes crawling across my coat. But when I pull this ugly, patched up, rabbit fur reinforced masterpiece back on, warmth. Real warmth hugging my back and shoulders. Oh, that's nice. I roll my shoulders, take a deep breath, and feel like this coat just got its soul back. The next few days, I live like a full-on caveman. And honestly, it's kind of working. During the day, I set traps around my shelter. I've got no guidebook, no tutorial, just half-remembered survival videos from my past life and the scraps of hunting knowledge my body's original dad left behind. I dig pits on animal trails, tie trip snares in bushes, rig falling log traps under pine trees. No system notifications for any of this. Apparently trapping doesn't count as martial arts. But I can feel myself getting better. I'm starting to read the forest like a book. Rabbit droppings here means a burrow nearby. Chewed up pine cones there means squirrels. That gap in the rocks. Weasel highway. My eyes are getting sharper every day. I also give my home an upgrade. The entrance is way too big and drafty, so I sharpen thick branches, stake them into the dirt, weave them into a fence wall, then plaster the whole thing with wet mud and snow. I leave one gap just wide enough to squeeze through sideways, plugged with a bundle of dry grass when I'm inside. Now at night, the temperature inside is actually bearable. No more waking up at 3 a.m. convinced I've died. And nothing can sneak in to chew on my throat while I sleep. Progress. Day 5. I'm doing my usual trap run, and today the mountain gods have smiled on me. 2 miles from the shelter, in a birch grove, my falling log trap went off. 100-pound dead tree trunk is lying across the ground, and underneath it, a fat badger. These things are nasty little fighters. Sharp claws, strong jaws, bad attitude. Normally, I'd give one a wide berth. But this one has a broken spine courtesy of my log. So all it can do is lie there wheezing and glaring at me with furious little eyes. Jackpot. Badger meat is fatty, oily, incredibly nourishing. And that thick fur? Make a hat out of that, and winter becomes a whole different experience. But I don't walk up to it like an idiot. Lesson learned this week. Never underestimate a dying animal. I stand back, raise my bow, and put an arrow through its eye socket from a safe distance. Quick and clean. Successfully hunted badger. Minor combat experience gained. basic archery. Initiated 15/1000. I haul the 20-something pound carcass over my shoulder and crunch back through the snow to camp. That weight on my shoulder feels incredible, not because badgers are fun to carry, but because it means food. It means surviving another week. That evening, badger meat sizzles over my fire. The smell is 10 times richer than rabbit, deep, fatty, mouth-watering. I tear into the oily meat and feel warmth explode through my entire body. Every pore opens up. It's like my dried-out organs are getting a spa treatment. After dinner, I check my panel. Wang Qing. Human. Lifespan. 16 out of 52. Physical conditions slightly improved, subhealthy. Skill. Basic archery. Initiated 15/1000. That health status went from extremely depleted to subhealthy. Not exactly a glowing medical report, but compared to where I was a week ago, it's a miracle. I hold up the badger hide and measure it against my head. Tomorrow, I'm making a hat. Get a few more pelts after that, and I'm reskinning this entire coat. I lean back against my cozy pile of dry grass, listening to the wind whistle through the treetops outside, rolling that polished bone needle between my fingers. I'm not panicking anymore. This mountain is harsh, but it's fair. Put in the work, use your brain, and it feeds you. Way more honest than humans, honestly. Next morning, the sky is clear and the sun turns the snow into a blinding white mirror. I scrub my face with a handful of clean snow. That's a bath around here. Grab my bow and step outside. After several days of rest and actual meat, the bone-deep weakness is finally fading. My arms have real strength again. Let's see if I've still got it. I knock a bow and arrow. I've been making my own from animal bones now, and aim at a dead birch tree 20 steps away. There's a palm-sized patch where the bark peeled off, showing whitewood underneath. Perfect target. Breathe in. Drop shoulders. Draw. Twang. The bow and arrow flies true and buries itself right at the edge of the white patch. 3 inches into the wood. Aim still there, satisfied. I collect my arrow and head out for the day's hunt. Yesterday's snow covered most of the animal trails, but if you know what to look for, there are still clues. I'm scanning the forest like a human radar when I hear it. Soft cooing from a bush up ahead. I freeze mid-step. Full statue mode. Through the dead branches, I spot 2 gray-brown pheasants pecking at grass seeds in the snow. They're jumpy. Peck twice, look around. Peck twice, look around. 40 steps. That's a stretch for me right now. I don't risk it. Instead, I crouch low and creep forward, using tree trunks as cover, inching closer one tiny step at a time. My boot crunches the snow, barely audible to me, deafening in this silent forest. Both birds snap their necks up, alert. No more time. If I wait any longer, they're gone. 35 steps. It'll have to do. I burst from behind the tree, draw, aim, and release in one fluid motion. The arrow whistles through the air. Both pheasants explode upward in a storm of wings and snow. My arrow clips a tail feather on one of them and thuds into the empty ground behind. Mississippi, and that's the difference between shooting a tree and shooting something that doesn't want to die. I shake my head and go pick up my arrow. No hit, no experience points, no dinner. That's the deal. But I don't let it get to me. I keep roaming the forest all morning. I miss 3 more times. A pheasant, a squirrel that moved like it had a rocket strapped to it, and a gray rabbit that appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as fast. Then, late afternoon, on a sunny hillside, I spot the dumbest animal God ever created, a roe deer, just standing there, sunbathing. It sees me, and instead of running, it tilts its head sideways like, oh, what's this interesting thing? I nearly choke, trying not to laugh. This thing weighs 40 or 50 pounds, and it's looking at me like I'm a tourist attraction. Hold it together. Don't blow this. Steady as stone activates. Arms lock. 0 shake. Twang. Arrow goes straight through its neck. The deer lets out a sad cry, tries to run, makes it maybe 5 steps, and face plants into the snow. Legs twitching. I rush over and finish it with my knife. Successfully hunted wild roe deer. Experience 3, basic archery. Initiated 18/1000. I look at the experience, then at this fat, beautiful animal lying in the snow, and I sit down right there in the cold, exhausted, grinning like an idiot. This is what training should feel like. I drag the deer home at dusk and have the most luxurious dinner of my mountain life. Fresh venison roasted over open flame, fat dripping and sizzling. I eat until my belly is round as a drum. The leftovers get buried in the snow next to my shelter, nature's refrigerator. Enough food for days. After dinner, craft time. Tonight's project, hat. I pull out the badger hide from a few days ago. It's been smoking and drying by the fire, and now it's stiff, stinky, and wonderful. The fur is thick and warm, exactly what my frozen ears have been begging for. I flip it fur side in, cut 2 half circles by eyeballing my own head, and start sewing with my bone needle. Pushing bone through thick badger hide is like trying to stab through leather with a toothpick. I'm pressing the needle with a rock, putting my whole body weight into each stitch. SSS, needle slips. Stabs my finger. Blood bead pops up. I suck on it for a second, shrug, and keep going. Out here, this doesn't even register as an injury. 1 hour later, the ugliest hat in the history of headwear is born. I put it on. The ear flaps wrap around my frostbitten ears perfectly. Soft fur against my cheeks. Warm. So incredibly warm. It's hideous. I touch the crooked, lumpy seam running across the top and laugh at myself. But it's so warm. I grab the fresh deer hide and start scraping it. This one's bigger and softer. Perfect for a sleeping mat or a liner for my coat. My to-do list is growing. Collect pine resin, straighten my arrow shafts. Check the eastern ravine tomorrow for wild boar tracks. That night, the wind howls outside like it wants to eat the mountain whole. But inside my shelter, the fire crackles softly, and I sit there in my ugly hat with a full belly, looking nothing like the terrified office worker who died at his desk, and nothing like the desperate kid who got slapped by a gangster. 5 days deep into the mountains. Temperature drops to the point where spit freezes before it hits the ground. Branches snap off trees like glass. I'm lying behind a snow-covered dirt ridge, buried under a layer of dead grass camouflage, completely motionless. My breath is freezing into frost on my eyebrows. I've been here for hours. 3 days ago, I found tracks in the eastern wild yam field. Hoof prints the size of plum blossoms, sunk half a fist deep. Tree bark scraped off in big patches, with coarse black bristles and a rank stink left behind. Wild boar. A big old veteran. The old hunters always said, first pig, second bear, third tiger. A raging wild boar is worse than a tiger. Their skin is thick as armor, and they roll in pine sap and mud until they're basically wearing a natural bulletproof vest. Regular weapons bounce right off. Old me would have run at the sight of those tracks. But current me needs meat, needs hide, and most importantly needs the experience points you can only get from life or death combat. There it is. I feel the ground vibrate through my chest before I see it. The bushes ahead erupt, and out comes this massive black-brown thing. It's like a small hill grew legs. At least 300 pounds of pure mean, with 2 yellowed tusks curving out of its mouth like twin scimitars. It's snuffling through the snow, following the scent of bait I planted, chunks of deer guts, nice and bloody. My palms sweat. I wipe them on my coat and re-grip the bow. I don't shoot. Not yet. I'm waiting for it to walk into my trap. A deep pit I spent an entire day digging, lined with fire-hardened wooden stakes at the bottom. The boar stops, lifts its head. Those beady little eyes scan the area suspiciously. Nostrils flare, sniffing for trouble. I don't breathe. I force my heartbeat slower. Finally, greed wins. That blood smell is just too good. The boar grunts, steps forward. 1 step, 2 steps. Crack. The branches covering the pit shatter under 300 pounds. ROAR. The boar screams like a demon from hell as it crashes down. The ground shakes. Got it. I spring up from my hiding spot, but I'm not celebrating yet. An animal this strong doesn't die from some wooden spikes. Not easily. I rush to 5 steps from the pit edge and start shooting. Down in the hole, it's chaos. Dust and snow flying everywhere. The boar thrashing like a runaway bulldozer. Several stakes pierced its belly and there's blood everywhere, but nothing hit anything vital. This insane creature is ramming the pit walls, crumbling dirt with every impact, literally about to create its own escape ramp. Twang. First arrow hits its back. Tink. The arrow goes in maybe half an inch and stops. That layer of pine sap and dried mud on its hide is actual armor. Barely any blood. How thick is this thing? My stomach drops. This is a gear problem. Bone arrows just don't have the penetration power. And now the boar is furious. It uses the momentum of its last wall charge to launch itself upward, hind legs pushing off like pistons, and suddenly half its body is out of the pit. Those bloodshot little eyes lock onto me. Pure hatred. Pure murder. GRH. Ignoring the stakes still hanging from its belly, it heaves itself fully out and charges straight at me like a black cannonball, trailing blood and stink. If that thing hits me, I shatter like a porcelain vase. Life and death in the next heartbeat. My brain goes blank. No fear. No thinking. Just pure killing instinct. Can't outrun a four-legged beast in knee-deep snow. That's suicide math. Only option, fight. Instead of backing up, I sidestep forward to higher ground next to a tree. Steady as stone, activate. The world slows down. The boar's ugly, drooling, gaping mouth fills my vision. I can count every individual bristle on its face. It's like looking at death in high definition. This thing only has two weak spots. The eyes, too small, it's moving too fast, or the soft patch behind the ear where the mud armor doesn't cover. Behind the ear it is. I suck in every last molecule of air, pull the bow to a perfect full moon, and at the exact instant 300 pounds of angry pork is about to flatten me, I let go. Twang. This arrow has everything. Every ounce of strength, focus, and will to live I've ever had. The bone arrow screams past the boar's tusks close enough to shave them, and punches into the soft meat behind its ear all the way to the feathers. Boom. The boar's momentum carries it another 2 or 3 meters past me, and it slams headfirst into the tree behind me. The trunk, thick as a bowl, shakes so hard an avalanche of snow dumps off the branches. The shockwave sends me tumbling through the snow like a rag doll. I roll twice before stopping, covered in white. I scramble up on all fours and stare at the boar. It's twitching, blood foam pouring from its mouth. Its hooves are digging trenches in the snow, but it can't stand. That arrow went into its brain. I don't take any chances. 2 more arrows. Wait until it stops moving completely. Then I let out the breath I've been holding for what feels like my entire life and collapse flat on my back. Cold sweat instantly soaks through everything. The wind hits it, and I shiver violently. Then the blue panel explodes with light, brighter than ever. Killed an adult wild boar above your level. Survived life or death combat. Potential unlocked. Basic archery experience 50. Basic archery. Initiated 18/1000. Initiated 68/1000. 50 points. One fight worth dozens of rabbit kills. Still a long way from the 1,000-point milestone. But that chunk of progress bar filling up? Incredible feeling. And there's something else. In that final split second, I instinctively twisted my waist and rolled my shoulder into the release, putting a spinning force on the arrow. That's why it sank so deep. I didn't plan it. My body just did it. So that's what real combat teaches you. My arms are sore, but there's a new toughness in my bones that wasn't there before. I walk over to the dead pig and give its rock-hard head a solid kick. You're actually my benefactor. Well, my Ben-APIG tour. Now for the fun part. Butchering a 300-pound boar in the middle of nowhere with a rusty knife. Skinning it is a nightmare. The pine sap and mud armor layer fights me every inch. But this hide is perfect for making leather armor, so I'm not leaving it. I pry out both tusks, grind these down, and they'll make daggers way better than my sad rusty knife. The real treasure? When I open the belly, there's a thick layer of pure white lard. In these mountains with no oil and no salt, this fat is worth more than gold. Cooking oil, skin moisturizer for frostbite, bowstring conditioner. This stuff does everything. I spend over an hour cutting the boar into sections, then make 3 trips hauling meat, fat, hide, and tusks back to my shelter. Whatever I can't carry gets buried deep in snow, marked, and peed on to cover the blood scent from scavengers. By the time I'm done, it's pitch black. That night, I'm frying wild boar slices on a flat rock over the fire. Fat and lean meat sizzling together. No seasoning needed. The pure flavor is already making me drool. I chew the tough, rich pork and do the math. With this hide for armor and several 100 pounds of meat, not only am I surviving this winter, I'm living well. Winter dies. Spring arrives. The first thunder of the season rolls through the clouds over Greenox Ridge. The dead white blanket that covered everything finally cracks apart. Snowmelt turns into 1,000 tiny streams that feed roaring creeks. Green shoots punch through the wet earth like tiny defiant fists. And in a hidden spot under a sheltered cliff, deep in the mountains, twang. A polished white bone arrow screams through the morning air like a hawk's cry, streaks across 100 steps, and nails a gray rabbit so hard it flips twice in the air and pins to a tree trunk. The arrow tail is still humming. I walk over, grab the shaft, yank it out. Blood sprays. I hold the rabbit by its ears and feel its weight. I don't even react. This is just Tuesday, just breakfast. The kid standing in the spring breeze is not the same shivering skeleton from 3 months ago. I'm wearing a suit made of wolf and badger pelts I stitched together myself. The needlework is still ugly. Looks like giant centipedes crawling all over me. But it's tough, warm, and honestly kind of intimidating looking. My body went through a complete transformation over the winter. Not some ridiculous muscle-bound Hulk, but every visible muscle, neck, wrists, forearms, is tight like braided steel cable. Lean, explosive, efficient. My skin turned bronze from wind and sun, rough and hard like tree bark. And my eyes. The confused, scared kid is gone. What's left is something cold, steady, sharp, like a hawk circling high up, scanning for prey. Killed gray rabbit. Basic Archery Experience 1. Basic Archery. Initiated, 890/1000. I check my panel, breathe out a slow cloud of mist, and allow myself a small nod. Almost. There. Just a little more, and I break through from initiated to minor completion. These 3 months in the mountains, I've been living like a feral lunatic with a bow. Everything that breathes within 10 miles of my shelter became target practice. Quick little pheasants, sneaky rabbits, lone wolves, and yes, I actually killed a black bear. That one almost killed me first. The thing had just woken up from hibernation, starving and angry, and even skinny its paw could crack boulders. It broke 2 of my ribs. I lay in the snow for 3 days, surviving on nothing but the bitter juice I squeezed out of its gallbladder like the world's worst energy drink. But that near-death fight is what pushed my archery over the edge. Now, 30 steps, I can hit a fly. 100 steps, I can kill a man as easy as reaching into my own pocket. That spinning penetration technique I stumbled onto during the boar fight? Perfected. My arrows drill through bull-thick hardwood and punch through 2 layers of tough cowhide stacked together. But the animals out here aren't cutting it anymore. Rabbits give me 1 measly experience point. I've hit a wall. It's not just archery either. I've been using exercises from my past life. Push-ups, squats, pull-ups, fueled by all the wild game meat packed with natural energy. My body is way beyond normal human limits now. But without proper internal martial arts, without real body tempering techniques, I've maxed out what raw physical training can do. This is the ceiling for a mortal, not the ceiling for a martial artist. Time to leave. Staying here as king of this little mountain patch is comfortable, sure. But comfortable means stagnant. I'd just be a slightly buff hunter for the rest of my life, still getting one shot by any real martial artist who wandered by. I go back to my shelter one last time. The place smells like pine resin, animal hide, and smoke, the smell of survival. The corners are stacked with dried meat strips, cured pelts, and herbs I gathered over the winter. I pack only the best stuff. 1 gorgeous black bear skin with perfect fur, 2 tiger bones I scavenged from a dead tiger's skeleton I stumbled across, a bundle of decent dried herbs, and some jerky. Travel light, carry valuables. Everything else, the extra meat, the scruffy fur blankets, the odds and ends, I leave behind. I half-block the entrance with a boulder, leaving a gap. Maybe someday some lost hunter stumbles in here during a storm, and these supplies save his life. That's my thank you gift to this mountain that kept me alive. One last look at the place that turned me from a trembling office worker ghost into whatever I am now. No nostalgia, just resolve. Let's go. Greenox Town after spring rain is exactly as depressing as I remember. Muddy roads ankle-deep in a lovely cocktail of rainwater and animal dung. Moldy air, shops with faded signs, and employees who look like they've given up on life. I walk in disguised as an old mountain woodcutter, straw rain cape, wide bamboo hat pulled low, face smeared with plant juice to look extra yellow and rough. I'm carrying a load of firewood as cover, shuffling along with a group of other woodcutters entering town. 3 months of living like a wild animal changed me completely. Even if that surviving goon from the night I attacked Lou One Blade was standing right in front of me, he wouldn't recognize this cold-eyed, stubble-faced man as the scrawny, terrified teenage hunter from before. Not a chance. I skip the main streets and slip into the dark alleys on the west side of town. Black market territory. Fences, smugglers, shady dealers. Nobody asks where your goods came from as long as they're worth buying. I stop at a dump called Old Huang's Miscellaneous Purchases. Left, right, nobody watching. I duck inside. The shop is dim and smells like ancient mold. The owner is a famous one-eyed character called Ghost Eye Huang, face down on the counter napping. When he hears me, that single eye cracks open and sweeps over me like a snake scanning prey. Buying or selling, I don't answer. I swing my massive bundle off my back and slam it onto his counter hard enough to rattle the abacus beads. I untie one corner and reveal the black bear skin. Glossy. Perfect. Beautiful. Ghost Eye Huang's pupil contracts so hard I can almost hear it. He goes from half asleep to bolt upright in 1 second flat. His fingers stroke the fur, he sniffs it, and genuine awe leaks through his poker face. Quality goods. Winter bear pelt, prime color, no patchy spots, and he flips it over, runs his fingers across the cleaned underside. Expert skinning work. Not a single tear, even preserved around the eyes and claws. Top grade. He eyes the tiger bones and herbs next, greed flickering across his face. You know your stuff, friend. This wasn't easy to get, was it? Don't ask questions you don't need answers to. My voice comes out low, rough, and cold. Name a price. Silver only. Ghost Eye grins and holds up one bony finger. 100 taels. That's the ceiling in this town. Only offering this much because you're new and I like making friends. I snort, and without a word, start tying my bundle back up. No hesitation, no drama, just packing. This bearskin sells for 300 minimum in the prefecture city. If you're not serious, I'll take it to Jubao House next door. Wait. What's with the temper? He grabs the bundle, smile plastered on desperately. Business is business, right? Sky High ask, ground level counter. 150. That's all I can do. I've got risks too. I keep tying. 180. Honest price. Brother, leave me something to eat. I stop. My eyes lock onto his from under the shadow of my hat. I say one number. 200 taels. Not one coin less. A wave of killing pressure rolls off me. 3 months of slaughtering wild animals condensed into one look. The kind of aura that makes a man's survival instincts scream at him. Ghost Eye Huang's back goes stiff. He swallows hard. He knows he's looking at someone who's killed things, lots of things, and isn't in the mood for games. He stares at the bear skin, runs the profit margins in his head, and finally slams his hand down. Deal. 200 taels. Only because your goods are genuinely top shelf, the deal closes fast. I take the heavy bag of silver, bounce it in my palm to check the quality, and tie it to my waist. But I don't leave yet. I tap the counter casually. Any interesting news around town lately? Ghost Eye is happily fondling his new bear skin and answers without thinking. News? Oh, plenty. Biggest thing is the Black Tiger gang got absolutely wrecked. My heart skips. Oh? Do tell. So 3 months ago, that Lu One Blade got killed in Widow Alley. Dead. Messy too. So he did die? Good. The gang boss, Thunder Tiger Lei, went completely insane trying to find some little hunter kid named Wang Qing. Tore up the outer mountains for a whole month, didn't find a hair. Ghost Eye shakes his head, grinning like this is the funniest thing he's heard all year. But all that noise, blocking roads, shaking people down, pissed off some passing martial arts master. This guy walks into Black Tiger Gang headquarters alone, rips off Thunder Tiger's arm, and almost took his head too. Would have, if the boss hadn't dropped to his knees and begged. Now the gang's a mess. Thunder Tiger's hobbling around looking for doctors. The whole operation's falling apart, and nobody cares about anything else. Under my hat, the corner of my mouth curls into a cold smile. Bad people get handled by worse people. Beautiful. Turns out hiding in the mountains for 3 months was perfect timing. Thunder Tiger can barely keep his own arm attached. Wang Qing is probably filed under, dead and forgotten, by now. Best news I've heard all year. Anything else? I toss him a piece of silver. Ghost Eye pockets it instantly and drops his voice low. Word is the Baji sect in the prefecture city is opening enrollment next month. Major faction in our Yunzhou, deep roots, real martial arts. Smashing boulders, running across rooftops, the whole package. Young guys from everywhere are rushing to the capital to try their luck. Baji sect. My eyes light up and my breathing actually speeds up. What do I need most right now? Martial arts techniques. Real ones, with actual cultivation methods. Archery alone isn't enough. The second someone gets close, I'm in trouble. And heaven rewards diligence needs proper martial arts manuals to grind. Without them, half my cheat power is wasted. Baji, I know that name from my past life. Baji Quan, one of the most aggressive, powerful fighting styles in Chinese martial arts. Same philosophy as Muay Thai, brutal, direct, devastating. If this sect follows that style, it's exactly what I need. Thanks. I don't waste another word. Hat low out the door. I make a few quick stops around town. A clothing shop for sturdy traveling clothes and thick-soled boots. I finally shed that ridiculous patchwork bee-skin outfit. A medicine shop for wound salve and insect powder. A general store for 10 days' worth of dried food and water. New pack on my back, new steel knife at my waist. Cheap iron, but miles better than that rusty disaster. And my faithful mulberry bough still on my shoulder. I head for the gate. On the way, I pass the hunter's village. I stop at a distance. My old shack collapsed under winter snow. Nothing left but a pile of rotting wood with weeds pushing through the ruins. The village is the same as always. Dead-eyed people grinding through survival, worrying about a few coins of tax. I don't go in. I don't feel sad. The boy named Wang Qing who lived in that shack died on a winter night 3 months ago. The person standing here now is something else entirely. Someone chasing martial arts mastery and control over his own destiny. Yinzhou Prefecture. Baji sect. One last glance at the ruins. Then I turn, merge into the flow of people leaving town, and walk out through that crumbling gate. Outside, spring wind on my face, willow trees budding green along the road. A wide path stretching into the distance toward the prefecture city, and toward the vast, wild, dangerous world of martial arts. I touch my bow and walk with long, confident strides. This time, I'm not running away. I'm going hunting. And the prey is this entire world. Once I leave Green Ox Ridge territory, the mountain trails feed into a wider, official road that is officially disgusting. Spring rain has turned it into a yellow mud intestine. Cart ruts crisscross everywhere, filled with murky water that smells like rotting grass, animal dung, and something I'd rather not identify. I stick to the dead grass on the roadside, dodging ankle-swallowing mud pits. The further I walk, the colder my heart gets. Every few miles, there are bodies in the grass. Some chewed up by wild dogs until only white bones show. Some bloated and purple with crows squawking and pecking at the flesh. Some freshly dead with the blood still wet, stripped completely naked and tossed in the mud. The traveling merchants walk right past without even glancing. Like the corpses are just fallen logs. So this is the Jianghu. Outside the city walls, human life is cheaper than grass. I grip my bow tighter and sharpen my vigilance. I may have decent archery skills, but traveling alone in this chaos makes me a walking target for anyone lurking in the shadows. By late afternoon, I spot something ahead. A huge merchant caravan parked at an abandoned tea shed. A dozen cargo wagons circled into a defensive formation. 40 or 50 guards in matching blue uniforms with long blades, patrolling the perimeter with hard, dangerous eyes. The banner on the lead wagon reads, Shunfeng Trading Company. One of the big names in Yunzhou Prefecture. I stop and think. The road ahead is a notorious stretch called Ghost Despair. Traveling it alone at night is basically asking to become one of those roadside corpses. I need cover. I need safety for the night. I straighten my rain cape, adjust my new steel knife and bow, and walk toward the caravan. Halt. State your business. I don't even get within 30 feet before a scar-faced guard puts his hand on his blade and barks at me. I bow, put on my best, humble country bumpkin voice, and explain I'm just a traveler heading to the city, looking to tag along for safety. Scarface looks me over, pauses on my rough, thick-knuckled hands for a second, then sneers. "Want to ride with us? 2 taels of silver. That buys you water, not food. Bandits attack, you're on your own. Sleep on the outer ring. Don't come within 10 steps of the cargo. Break the rules." He draws a finger across his throat. 2 taels. That's 2 months comfortable living for a family of 3 back in Green Ox Town. But this is the price of safety in a world where corpses decorate the roadside like autumn leaves. I pull out a piece of silver I already had ready. No hesitation. Of course, of course. At least you're quick about it. He tosses me a wooden tag carved with the character 4, loose, meaning unaffiliated passenger, and jerks his thumb toward the back. Wear it on your belt. Don't wander. Don't bother the VIPs. I clip the tag on, nod, and quietly drift to the rear of the caravan. There's a whole collection of people like me back here. Refugees dragging their families along with terrified eyes. A peddler clutching his goods like they're his children. A few baby-faced adventurers with cheap weapons who clearly think they're about to live out some heroic story. Everyone eyes everyone else suspiciously. Nobody talks. Typical. Night falls. Wind howls. Dead leaves skitter across the ground. The caravan sets up camp in an open clearing. Guards circle the wagons into a tight formation, light big fires inside the ring, and start cooking meat stew in iron pots. Laughter, drinking games, warm food smells. Life is good in there. Out here in the outer ring, we huddle together for warmth, gnaw on our own rock-hard rations, and drool at the firelight like stray dogs outside a restaurant. I find an old tree root to sit on, close enough to borrow some light, but mostly in shadow where I can watch everything without being watched. I crack open a brick-hard travel biscuit, break it into pieces, and chew as quietly as possible. Nearby, some young guards are gathered around an old escort master everyone calls Old Ma. He's clearly senior, ruddy face, wine gourd in hand, a few drinks past sober, and in a storytelling mood. Old Ma, come on, tell us. The chief escort is personally guarding this shipment. What are we carrying that's so valuable? A young guard pokes the fire and leans in eagerly. Get out of here. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. You want to keep your head attached? Old Ma glares at the kid, then takes a satisfied sip from his gourd. But I'll tell you this much. Our chief escort is a bone-forging realm master. In this whole Yunzhou region, that makes him practically a god. What brainless bandit would dare mess with that? Bone-forging realm, a kid from the outer ring. Young guy with a big saber strapped to his back, clearly on his first adventure. Can't help himself. Old sir, how many levels does martial arts even have? My dad taught me some saber moves, but he never mentioned realms. He just said, learn good, kill people. Several people perk up at this question. For us bottom feeders, the martial arts world is this mysterious, unreachable thing we've only heard rumors about. I slow my chewing and tilt my head slightly toward the conversation. This is exactly the intel I need. Old Ma is feeling generous tonight. He glances at the kid and snorts. Village fighting techniques. That's farmer brawling, not martial arts. He plunks his wine gourd down and clears his throat theatrically. Since you brats want to learn, let old grandpa educate you. Pay attention. If you go to the prefecture city not knowing this stuff, you'll offend the wrong person and die without understanding why. We martial artists train the body outside and cultivate the breath inside. But whether you can cultivate that inner breath, that's advanced stuff. For us ordinary folks, you first have to pass the 5 gates of the body. He holds up one rough finger in the firelight. First gate, skin tempering. Soak in medicinal baths. Beat yourself with wooden sticks. Scrub your body with coarse sand. Train your skin until it's tough as old cowhide. Normal punches and kicks don't hurt. A blade drags across it and only leaves a white scratch. That's when you've entered the door. At that level, even with farmer-style fighting, 3 to 5 big guys can't touch you. I instinctively feel my own arm. My skin is rough, sure, but that's just frostbite and sunburn. If someone actually cut me with a knife right now, I'd bleed plenty. I'm nowhere near white scratch territory. Second gate, tendon transformation. Old Ma's eyes get a dreamy look. Tough skin isn't enough. You need to train the tendons. Old saying goes, 1 inch longer tendon, 10 pounds stronger force. This gate requires real money. Expensive supplements, special stance training. You stretch and temper every major tendon until they're like bowstrings, elastic and explosive. At this level, your hands move like wind and hit like thunder. Punching a bull to death isn't an exaggeration. Third gate, bone forging. Our chief escort's level. Now Old Ma's voice drops with genuine reverence. He even sits up straighter. Bones like refined iron. Marrow like mercury. At this stage, every bone in your body is hard as metal. Strength is terrifying. You see the chief escort's build? That man is forged from iron. On this road, he is the god of death. Normal swords and sabers hit him, and they clang off. Can't even scratch his bones. What about above that? Is there more? Someone asks eagerly, eyes full of longing. Of course there is. Old Ma drops his voice like he's sharing forbidden secrets. Fourth gate, organ tempering. The 5 organs and 6 viscera. That's a person's true foundation. At this level, your breathing is deep and endless like a turtle's. You can exhale with enough force to pierce flesh, and your stamina is literally infinite. That is a real powerhouse. Someone who can found their own sect. Like the head of the Baji sect in the prefecture city, they say one shout from him can rupture a man's gallbladder. As for the 5th gate, blood transmutation, Old Ma gets this faraway look. That's the stuff of legends. Blood like liquid mercury, strength of 10,000 pounds. That's transcending human limits into something divine. I've heard of it my whole life. Never seen it. Everyone goes silent. Just the fire crackling. I'm sitting in the dark, half a biscuit crushed in my fist, and my mind is a tidal wave. Skin tempering, tendon transformation, bone forging, organ tempering, blood transmutation. So that's the martial path, the ladder of power in this world. I think back over my 3 months. When I fought the wild boar, my arrow couldn't pierce its mud armor. That pig basically had skin-tempering level defense. Meanwhile, I've gotten way stronger. I can pull a heavy bow. I figured out the penetration spiral technique. But that's all brute grinding through heaven rewards diligence. Raw power and skill, no actual body cultivation. In terms of raw strength, I'm probably not weaker than a skin-tempering warrior. In terms of killing power, once I push archery to minor completion, within 100 steps, even a tendon transformation expert would die if my arrow hit something vital and they weren't on guard. But I look down at my own chest and laugh bitterly. I'm the definition of glass cannon. High attack, 0 defense. Never tempered my skin. Never forged my bones. If someone gets close and lands one solid punch, this body shatters like a clay pot. That's the gap between self-taught wilderness fighting and proper martial arts training. I must get into the Baji sect. Without a real body cultivation method, I'm just a slightly scary hunter forever. Run into anyone truly tough, and I'm dead before I know what happened. Right in the middle of this thought, estuary, a shrill whistle cuts through the night. Then thundering hooves from every direction, mixed with wild, arrogant laughter. Heads up, got a live one. Which road do you walk, friends? Shunfeng Trading Company here. Show some respect. The guards react instantly, blades drawn, backs against wagons, tight formation. The tension spikes to maximum in 1 heartbeat. I react even faster. Biscuit goes in my coat. Bow comes up, body slides into the shadows behind me like a cat. Bone arrow knocked. Eyes scanning the darkness, calm and cold. By firelight, I can see the road ahead is blocked. Someone pushed several big trees across it. From the tree line on both sides, dozens of masked men emerge with blades, reeking of blood. Respect? I want silver. The bandit leader sits on a tall horse, wielding a massive ghost head cleaver. Definitely a trained fighter. His voice is like sandpaper on metal. Leave the goods, take your lives and get out. Otherwise we kill everyone and don't bother with graves. The civilian passengers are shaking. Women are covering their children's mouths, crying softly. Then, humph, one sound. Like muffled thunder detonating right next to everyone's eardrums. My heart actually skips. The curtain of the biggest, fanciest wagon flies open, and out steps a man. Bare-chested, in freezing wind. Single thin robe hanging off his shoulders. His muscles look like they were carved from granite, gleaming bronze gold in the firelight. He's built like an iron tower. This is the chief escort of Shunfeng Trading. The man they call Iron Arm Bear, Lu Tai. He doesn't even look at the bandits. He walks straight to the biggest fallen tree blocking the road, each step making the ground tremble slightly. Get lost, one word. Then his right arm swings. No technique, no fancy moves, just a straight punch with howling wind behind it, aimed at a tree trunk as thick as a man's thigh. Boom. The tree explodes into splinters. Just detonates. Like a cannonball hit it. The broken end looks shattered, jagged, and the impact crater goes into the dirt below. Dead. Silence. Everywhere. The bandit leader's eyes are bulging out of his skull. His big knife almost falls from his hand. His horse is screaming and backing up. Bone forging. Bone forging peak. Iron bones. Punching through stone and wood. The swagger evaporates off his face like water on a hot pan, replaced by pure terror. He yanks his reins so hard the horse rears up. Retreat. Fall back. Too tough. Run. The entire bandit crew disappears into the forest faster than they appeared. Poof. Gone. Nothing left but scattered footprints and mess on the ground. Lu Tai brushes with chips off his hands like he just swatted a mosquito, turns around with zero expression, and climbs back into his wagon. Clear the road. Move out. The guards stare at that wagon with pure worship in their eyes. In the darkness, I slowly ease my fingers off the bowstring. My palm is soaked with sweat. I stare at that shattered tree stump. That punch. If that hit a person, it'd leave nothing but a bloody crater. If it hit me, my animal skin armor and hard-earned muscles? Tissue paper. Absolutely tissue paper. So that's bone forging realm. Could my penetration technique even pierce his bones? I don't know the answer. But I know one thing for certain. Compared to the real strong people in this world, I'm still pathetically weak. And somehow that doesn't discourage me. The opposite. My blood is boiling. Something I've never felt before is burning in my chest. Pure, raw hunger for power. I watch Lu Tai's iron tower back disappear behind his curtain, and the fire in my eyes burns brighter than ever. One day, I'll have power like that. No, with my panel, I'll be stronger. 1,000 times. 10,000 times stronger. I take a deep breath, press that shock down deep into my gut, and silently follow the caravan as it rumbles on through the night toward the great city of Yunzhou Prefecture. As we get closer to Yunzhou Prefecture, the road transforms from mud soup to packed gravel, and the traffic goes from occasional desperate traveler to rush hour in a fantasy world, swordsman. With killer eyes, endless merchant caravans, and even a few luxury carriages pulled by exotic beasts with entire security teams that blast past everyone, leaving dust clouds and jealousy in their wake. Day 5 midday. The caravan crests a ridge called Dragon's Spine, and even I stop breathing for a second. Stretching across the plain ahead is what looks like a prehistoric beast lying across the earth. That's the city wall of Yunzhou Prefecture. Black-green stone, dozens of meters tall, giving off absolutely zero warmth in the sunlight. Just cold, menacing glint. The towers rise like mountains with war banners snapping in the wind hundreds of feet up. Even from miles away, the pressure is suffocating. Compared to this, the wall around Green Ox Town was literally a child's mud pile. The caravan erupts in cheers. Guards who've been white-knuckling their sword hilts for 5 days finally relax, already dreaming about booze and women. I don't cheer. My muscles tighten instinctively. Under walls like these, a person is an ant. At the gate, I split from the caravan. The entrance is like a giant mouth swallowing a river of people. 2 rows of armored soldiers stare at everyone with eyes that say, "You are livestock." Entry tax. 10 coins per person. 10 coins. That fed a family for 2 days back in Green Ox Town. Here it's just the cover charge. Against the wall, ragged refugees stare at the gate with dead eyes. 10 coins might as well be 10,000. They'll never get in. I drop my coins in the collection box without expression. Clink, clink, clink. Step through. The noise hits me like a physical wall. My eardrums actually ache. Vermilion Bird Avenue is wide enough for 4 carriages side by side, paved in polished blue stone worn mirror smooth by a million footsteps. Buildings tower on both sides, wine flags, red lanterns, shops everywhere. Hawkers screaming, people haggling, music playing, horses clopping. The whole city sounds like a pot boiling over. Fat merchants in silk robes, gang members strutting around with attack dogs. Noble sons on expensive horses looking down at the world. The air is a cocktail of perfume, roasted meat, and animal dung. This is Yunzhou Prefecture, glamorous and rotten at the same time. My rough traveling clothes, bow on my back, steel knife at my hip. Back in Green Ox Town, I'd be intimidating. Here I look like a country bumpkin who wandered in from the sticks. But I walk with steady steps and calm eyes. I've killed black bears in the deep mountains. I've seen real blood and real death. City sparkle can blind my eyes, but it can't shake my heart. First things first, my stomach is rioting. The street food smells are driving it insane. I find a noodle stall, order 2 huge bowls of pork noodles and a pound of sauced beef. Slurp. Chewy noodles coated in rich, dark sauce slide into my mouth, and the taste of salt and spices explodes on my tongue for the first time in 3 months. This is almost a religious experience. I eat fast but clean, a habit from wilderness living. Efficient, focused, no wasted movement. Boss, quick question. I set down my bowl, wipe my mouth, and place a piece of silver on the table. How do I get to the Baji sect? The noodle vendor was giving me the, "you look broke," treatment until he saw the silver. Instantly his eyes turn into happy little crescents. "Oh, here to join up, are you? You're the 100th person who's asked this week. Just follow Vermilion Bird Avenue East, all the way to the end. You'll see 2 stone lions bigger than houses. Can't miss it." I grab my pack and head east. The crowd changes the further I walk. More and more young guys, mostly 17 or 18. Some in fancy silk with servants trailing behind, noses in the air. Others in plain cloth and straw sandals with dried food on their backs, hope and anxiety in their eyes. All flowing in the same direction, like moths to a flame. Half an hour later, I see it. 2 massive stone lions flanking a crimson gate 2 stories tall, glaring at everyone who approaches like angry judges. Above the door, a black plaque with 3 gold characters, Baji Sect. The brushwork looks like it was carved with an axe, radiating aggressive, dominating energy. The plaza is already a sea of heads. Hundreds of people packed together. I pull my hat low, slip into the crowd like a drop of water, and find a spot in the shadow of a stone monument where I can watch everything without being noticed. Mountain instincts. In front of something this big and powerful, watch more, talk less, live longer. The crowd is being split into 2 groups by burly men in dark blue uniforms with black sashes. Listen up, all of you. A barrel-chested guy with his shirt open, displaying a magnificent carpet of chest hair, stands on the high stone steps and bellows like a broken gong. Kids in the front row cover their ears. The Baji sect has 2 paths for entry, left side. Become a student. No age limit, no talent requirement. As long as your family can pay 10 taels of silver per month tuition, plus 3 taels for room and board, you're in. Our instructors will teach basic Baji techniques, enough to stay fit and protect your household. And just carrying the Baji sect name means nobody messes with you on the streets of Yinzhou, right side. Become a disciple, free of charge. We feed you, house you, give you meat and monthly spending money. The real techniques, the killing arts. As long as you're willing to suffer, you can learn them all. He pauses, eyes sweeping over the ragged, desperate-looking kids on the right with a knowing smile. Of course, nothing in this world is free. Once you enter these walls and accept the sect's generosity, you're family. And as family, when the sect's businesses need protecting, when our caravans need escorts, we naturally expect our brothers to step up and share the burden. Most importantly, you have to pass the test. Over 20 years old. Go home. Can't pass the entrance exam? Go home. The speech sounds all noble and righteous, but my 3 months of fighting for my life in the wilderness gave me a nose for hidden danger. Let me translate what he actually said. Student, path equals pay money, by the Baji sect name as a protection charm. Learn some flashy garbage moves, never touch the real techniques. You're a cash cow. Disciple, path equals free martial arts in exchange for becoming the sect's muscle. Their enforcer, their expendable foot soldier. They say, go fight, you fight. They say, risk your life, you risk your life. On the left side, the student line, it's all soft-skinned rich boys in silk with servants fanning them, whispering to each other with smug faces. For these guys, 13 taels a month is pocket change, what they'd spend on tea at a fancy brothel. They're not here to fight. They're buying a name tag that says, don't mess with me, I'm connected to the Baji sect. On the right, the disciple line, there are 2 types. Poor guys like me, rough-skinned farmers, street thugs, nobody kids with ratty bags hoping to win the lottery. And then scattered among us, actual talented rich kids who genuinely want to become warriors. I do the math. 200 taels sounds like a fortune, but at 13 a month for student tuition, that's gone in a year and a half. And for what? Watered-down garbage techniques that won't save me from anyone serious. I remember Lu Tai punching that tree into sawdust. That's real martial arts. Everything else is playing pretend. If I'm going to sell my life either way, at least let me sell it for something valuable. No hesitation. I walk to the right. The disciple line. The line moves fast because the failure rate is brutal. First test, bone reading. A skinny old man sits in a big chair, smoking a pipe, eyes yellow and cloudy. But the fingers he uses to grab people's wrists are like iron hooks. OW. A huge guy yelps as the old man pinches his wrist. Bone gaps are closed. You're at least 25, trying to pass for younger? Get out. The old man flicks him away like a dead dog without even looking up. Garbage bone quality. Rotten wood. Untrainable. Leave. Overindulged in women. Blood and energy depleted. Rejected. His fingers are like the world's most accurate scale. One squeeze, and he knows everything about you. Out of the first dozen or so people in front of me, 7 or 8 get tossed. My turn. I take off my hat, showing my weather-beaten face. No dramatics. I roll up my sleeve and extend my forearm. The old man lazily reaches over with 2 fingers and touches my wrist bone. The instant he makes contact, those cloudy eyes flash bright. He drops his pipe. His bony hand slides up from my wrist to my forearm, past my elbow, and clamps down hard on my shoulder. He can't help making a surprised sound. I know what he's feeling. On the outside, I look like any ordinary skinny kid you'd lose in a crowd. But under the skin, 3 months of eating wild boar and black bear meat. 3 months of life-or-death combat in blizzards. Push-ups, squats, pull-ups every single day. And nearly 1,000 instances of heaven rewards diligence feeding warm energy into my muscles and bones, quietly rebuilding this body into a killing machine. The old man doesn't know any of that. All he feels is skin like leather, zero body fat, muscles wound tight as ancient vines, and bones that are dense, hard, and radiating explosive power forged on the edge of death. Bone age 18. Under the limit. He gives me a long, searching look. His tone is noticeably more respectful. Good physical foundation. Very solid. Go in. Next test. I take the wooden token he hands me, nod, and walk through the second gate. The inner courtyard is wide open, packed yellow dirt on the ground, weapon racks and training stones everywhere. In the center sit 3 massive green stone locks, carved with their weights. 300 JIN, 500 JIN, 800 JIN. That's roughly 330 pounds, 550 pounds, and 880 pounds. An instructor built like a refrigerator with a face full of angry meat stands on the steps above, arms crossed, staring down at us like we're insects. Second test. Raw strength. His voice hits like a thunderclap. The Baji sect follows the path of overwhelming force. One shoulder bump topples heaven. One stomp shakes the earth. Without brute power, you can forget practicing Baji fist. He points at the smallest stone lock. Simple rules. 300 Jin. 1 hand, 2 hands, I don't care. Lift it over your head and you pass. Can't. Go home and raise babies. 300 Jin. The crowd sucks in air collectively. A normal strong man can lift maybe 150 Jin. 300 requires either freakish natural strength or serious physical training. I'll go first. A farm boy built like a small mountain charges up, spits in his palms, grabs the handles, and heaves. HRRRGH. His face turns the color of raw liver. Neck veins pop out like worms. He gets it to his chest and stalls. Arms shaking violently, legs wobbling. He can't push it overhead. Clang. The lock crashes back down, throwing up a dust cloud. He sits in the dirt, panting, crushed. Can't even lift 300? Useless. Get out. The instructor has zero mercy. The next dozen people all fail. Some can't even get it off the ground. This test is a steel gate that slams shut on regular people's dreams. Next, I take a deep breath and walk forward with steady steps. The crowd takes one look at my lean frame and starts muttering. This string bean wants to try? He'll snap his spine. That huge guy couldn't do it, and this twig thinks he can? I hear none of it. I stand in front of the stone lock and say nothing. No yelling, no psyching myself up. I just look at the stone quietly and remember the feeling of dragging a 300-pound wild boar carcass through deep snow back to my shelter. Multiple trips. Uphill. I bend down and wrap both hands around the rough handles. In that moment, I feel it. The power coiled inside my body like a sleeping dragon. Nearly 1,000 sessions of heaven rewards diligence, burned into every muscle fiber and bone. Up. One word in my head. Legs, core, back, and arms all engaged together. The 300 gene stone lock. Lifts off the ground like it lost half its weight. Smooth. No resistance. Past the knees. Past the waist. To the chest. Then I push upward with both arms. No shaking. No red face. My breathing doesn't even change rhythm. 300 gene of solid stone rises above my head, steady as a mountain, like I'm holding a bag of groceries. The entire courtyard goes dead silent. Every single person is staring at me like I'm some kind of monster. The meat-faced instructor's bored expression shatters. His eyes go wide with genuine shock. I hold the lock overhead for 3 full breaths. Then I lower it back down in a controlled motion, teach OM, gently enough not to crack the ground. I don't even glance at the 500 gene or 800 gene locks. Rule from the wilderness. Show enough fangs to survive. Show all your cards, and you're asking to get killed. So, does that count as passing? I dust off my hands, look up at the instructor on the steps, and meet his eyes with a calm, flat gaze. The meat-faced instructor stares at me like he's trying to peel my skin off with his eyeballs. After a long pause, he grunts. Decent brute strength. Pass. Stand over there. By late afternoon, the strength test is over. Out of everyone, only about 20 or 30 people made it past the 300 gene stone lock. And more than half of those are local rich kids from powerful Yunzhou families who grew up on expensive medicinal meals and private tutors. For them, 300 gene is Tuesday morning warm-up. Then, out of nowhere, a man in a black robe appears on the high platform overlooking the training yard. Cold face like it was carved from iron. His energy is completely contained, invisible, but every survival instinct I built fighting for my life in those mountains is screaming at me. This guy is terrifying, 10 times more dangerous than the meat-face instructor. I am Zhao Gang, outer gate steward of the Baji sect. His voice isn't loud, but it cuts through the air like ice water poured down your spine. Lifting 300 gene means your body isn't completely useless, but that's the minimum for a disciple. The Baji sect isn't a pig farm. Brute strength without brains makes you livestock, not a martial artist. Third test. Comprehension. I will demonstrate our foundation stance. The 2 principles stance, 1 time. You have half an hour. If you can hold it properly, you're in. Full disciple. Food, shelter, real techniques. If you can't, your head is full of paste. Go home. Everyone stops breathing. All eyes lock on the platform. Watch. Zhao Gang's feet slam apart. Tum. The packed dirt cracks under his shoes, leaving 2 shallow craters. He sinks his shoulders, drops his elbows, rounds his back, arms curved like he's hugging a giant invisible ball. His entire presence transforms. He goes from a man standing on a stage to an ancient pine tree rooted in a cliff face. Immovable, eternal, radiating silent power. 2 principles birth 4 forms. Blood and energy circulate through the body. This stance cultivates the breath and locks the blood. Focus on the waist and spine. Power reaching all 4 extremities. He demonstrates and explains the key mechanics simultaneously, voice booming. Everyone scrambles to copy him. I do too. Feet apart, sink the center of gravity. At first it feels incredibly awkward. Every muscle fighting every other muscle. After about 10 breaths, my thighs start burning. Then, the moment I force my weight to stabilize, bong. That giant bell sound in my skull that I haven't heard in months. The blue panel lights up. 2 principles stance. Not yet initiated, 1/100th. Yes. My heart nearly explodes with joy. My biggest fear was that the panel only worked for archery or combat skills. But the stance got registered. That means my ignore all bottlenecks. Guaranteed progress forever. Cheat works on martial arts cultivation too. A warm current appears at the base of my spine, like an invisible hand gently adjusting my skeleton and muscles. My stiff shoulders get pressed down to the correct position. My floating hips lock into place. The tearing muscle pain instantly drops by half, replaced by this smooth feeling of blood flowing properly through my whole body. I realized that if I stood this stance for 2 hours a day for a few days straight, I could blow right past, initiated, level, and make that stone-faced steward's jaw hit the floor. That thought lives in my brain for exactly 1 second before I murder it. No, absolutely not. Do not stand out. I take a deep breath and force my body to fight against its own instinct to perfect the stance. I deliberately loosen my hips. I make my legs wobble unevenly. I hold my breath until my face turns tomato red and big fat drops of sweat pour down my forehead. I make myself look like I'm barely surviving this pose. Because think about it. If some random nobody hunter from the countryside shows up with freakish natural strength and learns a stance perfectly after seeing it once, that's not promising recruit. That's terrifying anomaly that must be investigated. In a place like this, the tall tree catches the wind first. I'd become a target overnight. Every faction inside the sect would either try to recruit me or crush me. I'd get dragged into internal power struggles as premium cannon fodder. And the real danger: heaven rewards diligence cannot survive close inspection. If I become the shining genius everyone's watching, some eagle-eyed elder will notice that I never hit plateaus, that I don't need enlightenment moments, that I just mechanically repeat things and get stronger like some kind of freak machine. In a world where martial arts secrets are worth killing for, a body that defies all known cultivation logic, they dissect me. Literally. I don't need famous masters watching me. I don't need the genius spotlight. I keep wobbling and grimacing on the outside while my brain runs cold calculations underneath. What I need is free food, free shelter, access to training manuals, and a legal excuse to get meat and medicine. That's it. The more invisible I am, the more they write me off as strong but stupid, not worth investing in. The more freedom I get. The dream scenario? Get labeled as a brainless muscle grunt, then get shipped off to some forgotten backwater assignment. A remote herb farm. A hunting ground in the middle of nowhere. Somewhere nobody watches and nobody cares what I do with my time. That's where I'll grind in peace. The beauty of getting sent to some godforsaken outpost is that nobody checks on you. During the day, I play the role of a useless pack mule. At night, I become the grim reaper of the deep forest, grinding archery to minor completion. And my secret stays perfectly hidden. Picture this. Someday, an enemy thinks they've cornered the talentless grunt of the Baji sect. They swagger up to finish me off. And in that instant, silent arrow through the skull, or an explosive palm strike from a mastered two-principle stance. Dead before they understand what happened. That's the power of being underestimated. That's the ultimate survival move. HHHH. HHHH. I'm breathing like a dying ox, sweat pouring off me in rivers, looking like a drowned rat that someone dragged through mud. Oscar-worthy performance, if I say so myself. The half hour of stance holding is brutal for everyone else too. Within minutes, guys are dropping like flies. One collapses, legs giving out. Two stone-faced enforcers drag him away immediately. Eliminated, Zhao Gang's voice cracks like a whip. That starts a chain reaction. Over the next 15 minutes, one after another, people crumble from blood rushing the wrong direction, legs turning to jelly, muscles giving up, groaning and gasping everywhere. Bodies getting tossed out of the courtyard like garbage bags. When the incense finally burns out, time. Stop. Two more guys instantly collapse the moment they're allowed to relax. Final count, 7. Out of 20-something who passed the strength test, 7 survivors. Including me. The standout is obvious, a rich kid in fancy silk martial arts wear. He's pale but still standing straight, and his stance actually captures about 30% of the real technique spirit. Not bad. Zhao Gang surveys us 7 from the steps, cold as ever. From today, you are official disciples of the Baji sect. But resources are not shared equally. Disciples are ranked. He points at Silk Boy, and for the first time, I see actual approval in his eyes. Your stance captured the essence. Excellent bone structure and comprehension. Name? The kid steps forward, fists clasped, chin up, practically glowing with pride. Zhou Tong. Main branch of the Zhou family, East Yunzhou. Ah, the Zhou family. Zhao Gang nods knowingly. Zhou Tong. Ranked grade A disciple. The Zhou family has produced a fine seedling. Thank you, Steward Zhao. Zhou Tong bows with the kind of arrogance that makes you want to slap the smug off his face. He knows he's the top dog, and he wants everyone to know it. The remaining 5, you held the stance without falling. Grade B disciples. Then Zhao Gang's gaze finally lands on me. I'm sitting flat on my butt, wheezing like a broken accordion, rolling my eyes back for extra dramatic effect. His face twists with undisguised disgust. As for you, nothing but raw muscle, wobbling like you were about to die, looking like a sick dog. Comprehension, abysmal. Barely scraped a pass. Grade C, lowest ranked disciple. Perfect. Report to the quartermaster for your rank tokens and supplies. Tomorrow morning, come to the training yard to learn the full 2 principles stance and basic sect fist techniques. After that, assemble in the disciple quarters for task assignments. Remember, mornings for martial practice, evenings for strength training, daytime for sect duties. Want to learn the real techniques? Prove yourself through your work at the supply office. 1 Grade C disciple token. 2 sets of rough cloth uniforms. The quartermaster tosses the stuff on the table without even looking at me, like making eye contact with a Grade C would contaminate him. I shuffle forward, head down, meek as a kicked puppy, and pick up my things with both hands. Well, isn't this the strong man? What happened? Standing still for half an hour was too hard. Ended up as the bottom of the barrel Grade C. That lovely voice belongs to Zhou Tong, who's already changed into his special Grade A cloud pattern uniform. Looking crisp, looking smug, looking extremely punchable. The 5 Grade B disciples are coming out with their supplies too. They take one look at my sweaty, pathetic appearance and don't even try to hide their contempt. All muscle, no brain. Country mudleg like him will be hauling manure and chopping wood. And he thinks he belongs in the same sect as us? They whisper and snicker freely. But when their eyes pass over Zhou Tong, their mouths snap shut instantly. Deep respect mixed with fear. They keep their distance, not daring to approach uninvited. Zhou Tong gives them a cold smile, then looks down at me the way you'd examine a cheap tool you might use and throw away. Through all of this, the insults, the mockery, the open contempt, I don't even raise an eyelid. I hunch my back like a timid farmer who's been bullied his whole life and just accepts it. I shuffle quietly to the side without a word. Nobody sees what's behind my lowered eyes. No anger, no humiliation, just a cold, satisfied little smile as I read the glowing text on my retina. 2 principles stance. Not yet initiated, 10 100ths, 10 points. Gained while pretending to be terrible at it, while deliberately performing badly. The system doesn't care how I look. It only cares that I practiced with real effort. Laugh it up, I whisper inside my own skull. Once I grind archery to minor completion and train my body until blades bounce off my skin, I really hope you're all still laughing this hard when you run. Into me in the dark, sunset paints the Yunzhou city walls blood red as I follow a scowling manager through the Baji sect compound, heading toward the outermost disciple quarters. 7 people passed the entrance exam today. Only 1 got rated Grade C. Guess who? We passed through several moon gates, and the scenery downgrades rapidly. Polished brick and green tiles give way to rough dirt walls and gray roof tiles. The faint smell of incense and sandalwood disappears, replaced by a permanent stench of old sweat, mud, and something that smells disturbingly like a livestock pen. Here, this is where you sleep. The manager boots open a door that was barely hanging on its hinges. A wave of mildew and foot stink hits me like a physical attack. Inside, no beds. Just 2 long dirt platforms running along the walls, covered in blackened straw and ratty reed mats. A dozen beefy guys are sprawled across them like corpses. These are veteran Grade C disciples who've been grinding here for who knows how many years. Dead eyes. They smell like sweat and cheap herbal medicine. One of them cracks an eyelid when I walk in, decides I'm not worth the effort of acknowledging, and goes back to being dead. Grade A and B disciples get private rooms in the front courtyard. The manager smirks. Grade C roughnecks like you bunk with the old-timers. You've got thick skin, you won't freeze. Drop your stuff, and when you hear the wooden clapper from the front yard, go eat. He covers his nose and speed walks away like I'm contagious. I walk in silently, find the cleanest-ish corner of the platform, and set down my pathetic bundle of belongings. I've slept in a crack in a frozen mountainside. This place has 4 walls and a roof, and nothing in here is going to bite my throat while I sleep. By my standards, this is luxury accommodation. Thunk, thunk, thunk. 3 claps of the wooden block echo from the front yard. The corpses on the platform explode to life. Every single one of them goes from dead asleep to hungry wolf eyes glowing in half a second. They vault off the bunks, some without even putting shoes on properly, and stampede out the door, shoving each other aside. I follow at the back. No rush. The bottom-tier mess hall is huge, room for 100 people, easy. But there's not a single chair or table. Everyone squats or stands with their bowls. In the center, several massive wooden barrels overflowing with steaming rough rice. Next to them, two giant iron pots bubbling over charcoal, filled with thick, dark, oily meat stew. Line up. One bowl of rice, one ladle of stew. Rice refills are free. Stew is one scoop only. Anyone who tries to grab extra, I'll break their bones. The fat chef waves an iron ladle the size of a shovel, screaming at everyone. I observe quietly from the line. This mess hall is normally for veteran bottom-tier disciples, but tonight, all 6 of the new grade A and B disciples have been brought here too, including Zhou Tong. Clearly the sect wants all the newbies to see what life at the bottom actually looks like. A little, welcome to reality, orientation. Zhou Tong is standing near the food barrels looking like he swallowed a live frog. The stew is not pretty. Murky foam on top, a thick layer of dark yellow animal fat, and chunks of mystery beast meat still streaked with blood. Ugh, is this even fit for humans? This is worse than pig slop. Is that black hair floating on top? One of the pampered grade B kids covers his mouth, gagging, whining to his buddies. Just endure it. The instructor said first month we can only eat this rough stuff to toughen our bodies. No ordering food from outside. Zhou Tong doesn't even bother responding. He turns away, jaw clenched, apparently preferring starvation over touching that stew. Meanwhile, in my eyes and the eyes of every broke veteran disciple in this room, that pot of bubbling stew is radiating golden light like a holy artifact. When my turn comes, I heap my rough ceramic bowl with a mountain of rice. The chef slams a ladle of stew over it. Dark, oily liquid soaks through the grains instantly, and several heavy chunks of bone-in beast meat thud into the bowl, giving off a crude, gamey, absolutely glorious aroma. I find a corner, squat down, and eat. The rice is rock hard. Some grains scratch my throat going down. The meat is tough and chewy. I have to use my back molars to tear through it like I'm processing leather. I eat with total focus and efficiency. I've been hungry in those mountains. I know what calories and protein are worth when survival is on the line. This stew is ugly, smelly, and an insult to fine dining. But it's loaded with animal fat and the concentrated energy of fierce beast flesh. For rich boys, it's garbage. For us bottom feeders who need to build our bodies and fill our blood with power, it's miracle medicine. Gulp, gulp. I gnaw every tendon off every bone. I drink every drop of scalding, oily broth. I feel a violent heat detonate in my stomach and surge through my entire body. All the energy I burned lifting that stone lock and holding the stance comes flooding back. The sect doesn't feed us this stuff out of kindness. I chew and analyze simultaneously. They're fattening us up, force-feeding us like livestock. Fill our blood with energy so we grow muscle, then hand us blades and send us out to die for the sect's business interests. I eat 3 heaping bowls. Lick the last drop of grease off the rim. Wipe my mouth. Satisfied. Deep night. The grade C bunk room is a symphony of weaponized body odor and thunderous snoring. It sounds like a frog pond in summer and smells like something died in a gym bag. I'm lying in my corner, eyes wide open, mind crystal clear. Not a trace of sleepiness. Years of sleeping in the wilderness have made me permanently alert in unfamiliar places. My stomach is processing those 3 bowls at maximum speed, generating waves of restless heat that churn in my lower belly. If I don't channel this energy somewhere, most of it will just leak out as sweat and be wasted. Time. I slide off the platform without making a single sound, not even a whisper of cloth, like a black cat materializing from shadow. I push the half-closed door open just enough to slip through and ghost into the courtyard. Night wind cuts like a razor, clears the stink from my lungs instantly. I don't wander. I find a dead angle behind the building, deep in the eaves shadow. Even a night patrol guard with a lantern would walk right past without noticing someone here. Deep breath of freezing air. Feet spread slowly. Heels dig into the earth. Weight sinks. Every single detail of Zhao Gang's 2 principles stance demonstration replays in my mind in high definition. 2 principles birth 4 forms. Blood and energy circulate through the body. This time, I'm not faking. No wobbling. No theatrical sweating. I control my breathing until it's almost inaudible and make the finest micro-adjustments inside my muscles and bones. Shoulders sink. Elbows drop. Chest hollows. Back straightens. The moment the stance locks in, That raging beast meat energy in my gut finds its channel. It converts into streams of scalding heat that follow the stance's guidance, flowing into my limbs, my spine, my bone marrow. My sore muscle fibers from the day's exertion start twitching, tiny involuntary spasms as they greedily absorb the nutrients. I close my eyes in the darkness. Boom. The blue panel appears. Basic archery. Initiated. 890/1000. 2 principal stance. Not yet initiated. 10 out of 100. As I stand in silence, the numbers start ticking. 11/100. 12/100. Each tick brings that perfect, consistent feedback warmth from the system. It merges with the beast meat energy like the world's most precise blacksmith, hammering and correcting my bone alignment and muscle patterns in the dark. I can actually feel an old injury in my lower spine, something I hurt falling in the mountains, healing under these warm currents, getting stronger than it was before the injury. This is real power. In this rigid, class-divided Baji sect, Grade A disciples get family-funded medicinal meals and private tutoring. Grade B disciples get preferential resources. And me, the Grade C, all brawn, no brain mule. All I get is this one daily meal of rough rice and beef stew. But so what? Zhou Tong's contempt, the manager's dead man stare. I accept all of it without blinking. Because I don't need famous teachers. I don't need pills and potions. I just need food in my belly and a few quiet hours in the dark every night. In this giant meat grinder of a sect, predators wear silk and carry steel blades, ready to crush the bottom layer into dust at any time. If I want to avoid becoming cannon fodder, if I want to survive and eventually climb to the very top, I have to hide deeper than everyone else and be more ruthless than all of them. Eat their food. Train my body, half an hour before dawn. The blackest part of the night. I slowly release the stance. I'm not greedy. Pushing too hard draws attention. The panel reads 18/100. A fine sheen of sweat covers my whole body. My bones feel 2 ounces lighter. That explosive, coiled spring power filling my muscles is deeply satisfying. I wipe the sweat, brush off the dust, and ghost back through the door crack into the stinking bunk room. I lie down on the straw, listening to the oblivious snoring chorus around me, and slowly close my eyes. Tomorrow there'll be new techniques to learn and harder tasks to endure. But I'm not afraid of any of it. Not anymore. The morning bell hasn't even waited for the sun to fully show up before it slams through the bunk room like a divine commandment. Don't. Every veteran disciple snaps upright simultaneously, like puppets yanked by the same string. Years of conditioning have turned bell equals move or die into pure reflex. I open my eyes without a trace of grogginess. I was up until the early hours doing secret stance training, and normally that would wreck a person, but the system's repair energy kept patching me up all night. I feel sharp, rested, and loaded with coiled power. New kid, move your ass or die. An old disciple glares at me while tying his belt. Charming morning greeting. I say nothing, throw on my rough blue disciple uniform, and follow the herd to the training yard. The 6th grade A and B newbies are already there. Zhou Tong is front and center in his fancy silk blend uniform that catches the morning light like he's posing for a painting. His color is healthy and rosy. Clearly he didn't touch last night's beast stew. His family probably smuggled in premium food. Must be nice. Silence. Zhao Gang materializes on the high platform like a ghost who owns the place. Today he's wearing black combat clothes that make him look even more like a vertical spear. His hawk eyes scan all 7 of us. Pause on me just long enough to radiate disgust, then move on. You've entered the Baji sect. Today, I give you the foundation you'll build your lives on. His voice isn't loud, but somehow drills directly into your eardrums. Our sect is famous for fierce, explosive martial arts. But ferocity alone breaks. Softness alone crumbles. The first step is to set your body's frame. He leaps off the platform, from several meters up, and lands without making a single sound. Not even a whisper. Yesterday's 2 principles stance was incomplete. Today, watch the full version, 2 principles, 4 form step. He starts moving. His feet trace circles on the ground like a compass. Each step looking mountain-heavy, yet producing this strange vibration. And when he breathes, his chest cavity makes a sound like distant thunder. My pupils contract. The blue panel flickers automatically. Skill, 2 principles stance, complete version, recording. Recording successful. Current progress, not yet initiated, 19 out of 100. Everything I figured out on my own last night suddenly clicks into place with a complete demonstration. This isn't just standing still. There's a secret breathing rhythm and a method for shifting your center of gravity that transforms the whole thing. Stance sets the foundation. Fists kill people. Without any pause, Zhao Gang's arms snap outward. His spine fires off a machine gun burst of popping sounds, like a dragon waking up from hibernation. Baji means press, support, squeeze, lean. Today I'm teaching you the required beginner fist technique, the Baji minor frame. Don't let the word minor fool you. This is the source of everything. Master it, and you'll dominate at the skin tempering level. Fail to master it, and you'll die against the first real opponent you meet. His movements suddenly go explosive. Step, punch, chop. Every move is stripped to the absolute minimum. No decoration, no flash. But each short punch seems to physically tear the air. I can hear it ripping. Then he does this move called mountain leaning crash. His entire body blurs into a shadow and rams into a stone lion statue at the edge of the yard. Boom. The stone lion, carved from solid rock, shifts on its base. A visible crack appears in the foundation. He just body-checked a statue, and the statue lost. Training fists without training power is a lifetime wasted. But this fist technique teaches you how to turn your brute strength into a blade for killing. He returns to standing position, breathing completely undisturbed, and sweeps his gaze across us with a grave expression. Remember, Baji sect techniques are forbidden from being shared outside. Anyone caught teaching outsiders or stealing techniques, not only will you die, your entire family goes into the Yunzhou River to feed the fish. Understood? Understood. Everyone shouts back, voices mixed with fear and fanatical excitement. I will demonstrate 3 times. How much you remember is your own destiny. He begins breaking down each move of the Baji minor frame slowly. First demonstration, my brain goes cool and clear. The panel goes crazy. New skill detected, Baji minor frame. Record, I scream internally. Skill, Baji minor frame. Not yet initiated, 1/100th. Second and third demonstrations activate the system's error correction function. Behind my closed eyes, I don't see Zhao Gang anymore. I see a perfect golden silhouette, moving frame by frame, fixing every wrong angle in my mental image. I can feel last night's beast meat energy responding to the fist technique, starting to flow toward my knuckles and shoulder muscles. Now practice on your own. Zhao Gang starts pacing the yard, hands behind his back. Zhou Tong is obviously working from a head start, probably had private martial arts training since childhood. His punches lack power, but the form is smooth, even capturing a hint of Zhao Gang's style. Not bad. Zhao Gang nods as he passes. Then he walks toward me. Here we go. Showtime. I'm mid-punch. The system is telling me exactly how to twist my hips and transfer power into my fist, like a compressed spring releasing. It would feel amazing to do it properly. But the instant I feel Zhao Gang's eyes land on me, I let my gaze go slightly vacant. I deliberately disconnect my waist from the motion, killing all the fluid energy, and just shove my big dumb arms forward in a flat push. My fist hits the air with a heavy, dull thud. Lots of noise. Zero technique. Zhao Gang stops walking. He stares at my formless, graceless, pure muscle flailing, and his eyebrows knot together like someone tied them. Shoulders locked. Hips dead. Are you grinding grain or practicing martial arts? I flinch on purpose, let my already stiff form fall apart even more, and scratch my head with a dumb, thick-skulled grin. Sorry, sir. I just can't seem to get my legs right. Can't find where the power goes. Can't find the power? Where'd that 300 gene strength go? Did you feed it to dogs? Zhao Gang snorts. I can see the last flickering ember of interest in his eyes. The tiny hope that my freakish strength might translate into martial talent. Die completely. Martial arts isn't just about muscle. Baji fist requires instant explosive power and coordinated bone tendon activation. The worst type of student is someone with raw strength but zero martial instinct. A brainless brute. Useful as a meat shield on a battlefield at best. Never anything more. Rotten wood. Can't be carved. He drops that icy verdict and walks away to coach a grade B disciple. doesn't look back at me once. I keep my head down, looking terrified, like his scolding shattered my fragile rural confidence. But behind my lowered eyelids, 2 lines of blue text are dancing. Practice 2 principles, stand seriously. Experience 1. Current. Not yet initiated, 25 100ths. Practiced Baji minor frame. Strength correction feedback. Experience 2. Current. Not yet initiated, 8 out of 100. The system's warm current flows silently through my body. Every punch, no matter how clumsy it looks on the outside, is actually hardening the skin and muscle on my fists with each tiny pulse of heat. Yes, exactly like this. I talk to myself deep inside where nobody can hear. Let them remember me as the brute. Remember me as the idiot. Inside this monster that's ready to chew up bottom-tier disciples at any moment. The only way to survive is to grow my fangs where nobody's looking. I keep punching. Heavy, dusty, brutish thuds. Every other disciple who walks past shoots me a look of contempt. Some make mocking faces behind my back, already predicting I'll be assigned the dirtiest, hardest labor in the sect. Zhou occasionally glances my way from across the yard. His expression says it all. I'm a mossy rock. Hard, sure, but worthless. Not even worth considering as competition. Practice goes until noon. Everyone's uniform is soaked through. The sun has baked the training yard dirt until it radiates heat. Stop! Zhao Gang's voice cuts through from above. Zero mercy in his eyes. The techniques have been taught. Whether you master them is your problem. But this sect doesn't feed freeloaders. You want food and monthly pay, you work for the sect. He waves his hand, voice turning sharp as a blade. Everyone, follow me to the steward's hall for task assignments. Grade C disciples. Back of the line, I silently drop my fist form and lock every trace of sharpness back inside this dull, stupid-looking body. The real test is about to begin. In a place like this, your assigned task determines your future, and possibly whether you live or die. I follow at the tail end of the group, feet dragging through the dust, heading toward the hall that controls every bottom-tier disciple's fate. Noon sun is cooking the stone slabs outside the steward's hall like a griddle. Besides us 7 newbies fresh from morning training, there are dozens of veteran disciples packed into the courtyard. Today is the quarterly task rotation day, and everyone who wants a cushier assignment has shown up to jockey for position. None of us 7 newcomers have actually entered the first martial gate, skin tempering, yet. We're still just building up blood and energy. But that doesn't stop the class system from kicking in early. Manager Lu Fu sits on the high steps sipping cold tea, lazily flipping through a thick registry book. Today I assign the new batch. Listen up. Mornings you train for 1 hour, afternoons you work. This sect doesn't feed freeloaders. He puts down his tea, and his beady little eyes skip right past everyone to land on Zhou Tong. His stern face instantly melts into the warmest, most sycophantic smile I've ever seen. Like a sunflower finding the sun. Zhou Tong, grade A, effective immediately, transferred to the inner hall, attending the elder personally, managing protection fee collection on East Long Street. Every old disciple in the courtyard practically turns green with envy. East Long Street is the Baji sect's golden goose. Nothing but restaurants, pawn shops, and entertainment houses. Endless money flowing in, plus daily FaceTime with the elder, which means personal martial arts coaching. It's the dream job. Zhou Tong steps forward, looking like he expected nothing less. Thank you, Manager Lu. Thank you for the sect's investment in me. Of course, Lu Fu is beaming. I'm standing in the very back, in the shadows, watching this with zero surprise. I could have predicted this with my toes. In a sect that runs like a street gang, money talks. Those grade A and B families probably sent their house managers last night with fat stacks of silver to flatten Manager Lu's doorstep. Sure enough, the next 5 names confirm it perfectly. Li Fei, grade B, assigned to West City's Changle District Gambling Hall, Security and Management. Zhao Ku, grade B, assigned to South City Docks, supervising laborers, inspecting smuggled cargo. Every single grade B disciple gets a fat, prestigious, money-dripping assignment. Then Lu Fu reaches the last page. His smile vanishes like it was never there. His eyelids droop with undisguised boredom. Wang Qing. Present. I hunch forward immediately, shuffling up with my best, frightened peasant who's never seen a city, routine. Lu Fu glances down at me from his perch, like I'm something stuck to his shoe. Grade C. Brute strength, no comprehension. Since you've got muscle to spare, report to the Blood and Flesh Workshop, south side of the city. The instant those 3 words leave his mouth, the veteran disciples break into barely contained laughter. Some actually cover their noses in disgust just hearing the name. The 5 grade B guys look at me with pure smug satisfaction. Zhou Tong doesn't even turn around. My name apparently isn't worth dirtying his ears with. The Blood and Flesh Workshop. That's the worst pit in the whole sect. Full of broken-down old cripples whose bodies gave out. It's the sect's beast slaughterhouse. They process hundreds of animals a day, including tough, low-level monsters. The butchers there stand in blood and guts all day. By afternoon, they can't straighten their backs. By night, they smell so bad, even dogs avoid them. Who's got energy left to train after that? This kid's finished. A sign they're on day 1. Career over before it started. I listened to all of this without flinching. No anger. No bitterness on my face. I bow deeply. I accept the assignment. Thank you, Manager Lu. Lu Fu waves me off, already bored. Take your token and get to work. South side of Yunzhou, the Blood and Flesh Workshop. Before I even step through the wide black gates, a wall of stench hits me so hard I nearly see colors. Blood, raw meat, guts, and the burning hair smell of scalding water all mixed into one unholy assault on my nostrils. Outside, mule carts loaded with fresh meat are being driven out to restaurants and markets across the city in an endless stream. Inside, it's a slaughterhouse nightmare. The ground is a swamp of dark red blood and scattered organ bits. A dozen shirtless men covered in grease and gore are working like demons, some dragging beast carcasses that weigh hundreds of pounds with massive iron hooks, others swinging 50-pound hammers to shatter monster bones. It looks like a scene from Hell's Kitchen. And suddenly, everything clicks. Now I understand why even the lowest grade C recruitment requires bone reading, lifting 300 gene, and holding a martial stance. The Baji sect doesn't need weaklings to sweep floors and wash dishes. In this chaotic world, you can hire that kind of labor for pocket change. What they need for this place are human-shaped beasts who can drag, chop, and process tough monster carcasses all day long. Without 300 gene strength, you can't even move one body in here, let alone be useful as frontline muscle for the sect's street operations. The business logic is crystal clear to me now. Disciples like Zhou Tong are recruited for mutual benefit. The sect trains them. Their powerful families become allies. Everybody wins. Even without bribes, those kids would get premium treatment. Disciples like me serve a completely different purpose. We're raw material for a brutal filter. Work us like animals in the worst conditions possible. If someone somehow survives and emerges stronger, great. The sect gains an elite thug. If not, they've squeezed every drop of labor out of us until we rot. Most of the workers here are veteran grade C disciples who scraped into early skin tempering years ago, then got injured fighting, started declining, and got dumped here to spend the rest of their lives butchering meat. A new face walking in causes a brief pause in the chaos. A fat guy with a jutting belly waddles over to me. He's holding a dripping bone-scraping knife and wearing an apron that was probably white once, but is now permanently stained dark brown, stiff as sheet metal. This is Zheng Tu, the section chief. Used to be a real fighter, mid-level skin tempering realm, until he damaged his lung meridian. Now his energy is declining and he rules this bloody kingdom, skimming scraps of awful meat on the side as his only perk. New kid, he looks my lean frame up and down, casually scraping his knife across the chopping block with an ear-piercing screech. I'm the boss here. Rule for newcomers. First month, you do the heaviest work to ease the load for the veterans. He points his knife tip at a mountain of pale white bones heaped in the corner. That's yesterday's haul. Bones from a dozen or so ironhorn cattle after all the good meat was shipped to the city restaurants. The sect kitchen needs those bones chopped into pieces for bone broth. 1,000 gene of bones. Chop them all into fragments before dark. Don't finish? No dinner. Understand, those ironhorn cattle bones are harder than stone. A regular knife would crumple on contact. You need a massive cleaver and all the back strength you've got to smash through them one at a time. The energy cost is insane. The old-timers are watching me with cold amusement. Zero sympathy. Watching the new guy get destroyed is their only entertainment in this blood-soaked, miserable existence. Classic hazing. Day 1 power move. Now here's the thing. Back at the entrance exam, I hid my abilities because in a predatory organization like the Baji sect, a talented nobody with no family backing gets fast-tracked to the most dangerous street fights and dies first. Being talented, there equals being disposable elite cannon fodder. But here, in this forgotten, blood-soaked pit of washed-up butchers, playing weak is the wrong move. These guys will smell weakness like sharks smell blood. Next thing I know, they'll have me hauling sewage and scrubbing intestines, wasting the energy and time I need for training. I don't have time for their pecking order games. The play here is different. Show enough raw power to make them leave me alone, and then use that leverage to get what I really need. I walk to the chopping block, strip off my outer shirt, revealing muscles that aren't bulky but are wound tight like steel cables, and skip right past the regular choppers. Instead, I go straight for the big one. An 80-pound heavy-spined bone cleaver that normally takes 2 grown men to operate in shifts. I pick it up with one hand. Oh look, String Bean wants to show off. Zheng Tu starts sneering. Boom. The sound cracks across the entire courtyard like a cannon shot. Both hands on the cleaver. No technique, pure raw force. I bring it down on a thigh bone as thick as a man's leg and hard as iron. The bone snaps clean in half. Marrow explodes everywhere. The cleaver keeps going, slams into the stone grinding platform underneath, and cracks it. Sparks fly. The impact sends ripples through every blood-filled bucket in a 10-foot radius. Dead silence. Even the flies shut up. Zheng Tu's face fat is twitching uncontrollably. The veteran butchers who were ready to enjoy the show are now staring at me like I'm a monster wearing human skin. They know exactly how hard Ironhorn cattle bones are. Their boss, Zheng Tu, mid-level skin tempering realm, has to channel his full energy to crack these things. And I just did it raw and split the stone underneath. I slowly straighten up, pull the cleaver out of the cracked stone one-handed, and sweep my cold gaze across Zheng Tu's face. I do my own share of work. Don't bother me. My voice is flat. Dead. Like the sound of a knife scraping against cold metal. Zheng Tu feels that look, and I can literally watch the color drain downward through his body. He's a street veteran. He reads people for a living. And right now, every survival instinct he has is telling him this, scrawny kid, is something he absolutely cannot afford to provoke. In a real fight, his declining old body might not survive one swing of my cleaver. Sure. Sure thing, brother. Incredible strength. He swallows hard and instantly switches to a nervous, ingratiating grin. All that swagger evaporated. I ignore him and scan the yard with the bloody cleaver still in hand. Last night in the Grade C bunkhouse, that symphony of foot stench, body odor, and chainsaw snoring, I had almost no privacy to train. If I want to grind skills freely every night, I need my own space. I point at a broken-down shack in the deepest corner of the yard, right next to the abandoned sewage pit. The kind of place so rank even rats avoid it. That room. Mine from now on. Zheng Tu blinks. And I'm taking all the night shifts. Permanently. By myself. Everyone stares. The Blood and Flesh Workshop stores massive amounts of beast meat, so someone has to guard it overnight against thieves and stray dogs. It's the most hated duty. Everyone takes turns suffering through it. I don't like the smell of people. I prefer the smell of blood. I say this with zero expression. You all go back to the bunkhouse and sleep. Don't bother me, and I'll cover every night shift for you. You can report it to the manager however you want. Zheng Tu's brain catches up to what I'm offering, and his eyes nearly pop out of his skull with joy. Free from night duty forever? And he can report to management that the new guy volunteered? This is Christmas morning. Deal. Absolutely deal. It's all yours. He's nodding so fast his face fat is jiggling like pudding. The Blood and Flesh Workshop is in your capable hands at night. Brother Wong. Evening. Sunset paints the sky. After the brutal afternoon of butchering, it's finally dinner time. The workshop has its own little mess station, just a straw shed in the corner of the yard. I line up with my big bowl. Rice is the same rough stuff as the main hall. But when the cook ladles the soup, my eyes light up. This soup is on another level. The main cafeteria serves thin broth where hundreds of disciples fight over a few meat chunks each. This workshop soup is packed with beast scraps, organ meat, offcuts, and thick bone marrow. The broth is so concentrated it's dark red and sticky. This is the one perk of being a bottom-tier butcher. First access to the leftovers. The premium cuts get shipped to city restaurants, but the scraps and organs simmer down like this? The blood energy content blows the main hall's soup out of the water. I find an empty corner, squat down, and inhale a heaping bowl of rice and thick meat soup in about 30 seconds. The scalding broth hits my stomach and a wave of heat floods through my exhausted body, pushing back the afternoon's fatigue. Not enough, though. I lick the grease off my lips. For these old butchers who just want a full belly, this is a feast. But for someone planning to grind martial arts every single night, I need way more fuel than this. I'll figure that out later. After dinner, the veterans shuffle out in groups, dragging their wrecked bodies back to the bunkhouse to pass out. Nobody looks back. Nobody cares about this stinking place after dark. The entire blood and flesh workshop falls silent. Just me and the night wind carrying the smell of blood through the empty slaughterhouse. I walk into my new home, the shack by the sewage pit. The stench is genuinely impressive. I couldn't care less. I bolt the rickety door behind me, sealing out every sound and every prying eye. Pale moonlight leaks through holes in the roof and lands on my eyes. Calm, cold, predatory. Chopping bones is just labor. No amount of labor builds martial power. If I want to get stronger, I need to do stance work. I need to practice fists. During the day, I'm the obedient, dim-witted mule. At night, I am the emotionless grinding machine. I strip off my blood-soaked outer clothes, breathe in a lungful of rank air, and settle into my stance. Time to work. The stench in this shack could knock out a horse. I can't even smell it anymore. I'm too deep in the zone. In the pitch dark, my feet grind into the dirt, hips twist, spine snaps straight like a fully drawn bow releasing. Chest in, back up, arms alternating. I run through the entire Baji minor frame, start to finish. Every movement strict, every angle precise. When I finish the last form, I exhale slowly. The panel flickers. Practiced Baji minor frame once. Strength correction feedback. Experience 1. Current progress. Not yet initiated, 9/100ths. That warm repair current flows from deep in my spine, finds every micro tear in my shoulder and core muscles from the practice, and smooths them out like ironing wrinkles from cloth. Fatigue? Gone. Replaced by that addictive feeling of fullness and growth. Again, my eyes are glowing in the dark like a wolf that just tasted blood. Other people train martial arts by chasing, feel, and inspiration. They punch 10 times, and maybe one rep is actually correct. Worse, if they practice wrong, they build up hidden injuries. I don't have that problem. Heaven Rewards Diligence is the world's strictest and most perfect teacher. Finish a full set with the basic framework intact? Guaranteed 1 point of progress, guaranteed error correction, guaranteed damage repair. No bottlenecks. No going crazy from chi deviation. Just absolute, reliable. You put in, you get out. In this world where lives are worth less than grass, in this predatory sect, that absolute certainty is the only lifeline I can grip. 50 reps, 60, 70. My feet have worn 2 shallow pits into the mud floor. My clothes are soaked through and plastered to my skin. My breath comes out as hot white fog. But I'm in a trance, drunk on the feeling of watching numbers tick upward, seeing my power grow in real time. 80, 90. I set up again, teeth clenched. I feel incredible. Like if I just keep going, I can blast straight through to initiated level tonight. Rep 92. I sink my shoulders, drop my elbows, prepare to. Something goes very wrong. Irk. My vision blacks out. Gold stars explode across my retinas like fireworks. Then a pain unlike anything I've ever felt detonates in my stomach. Not like sickness, like my stomach grew a mouth full of barbed teeth and started eating itself from the inside, desperately clawing for any last shred of nutrition. My legs buckle instantly. Zero warning. I crash to my knees in the blood-soaked mud, spine rigid. Cold sweat pours off my forehead like a waterfall. Every muscle that was full of power 1 second ago is now shaking uncontrollably, like dried out wood about to snap. Then the panel flashes, not its usual calm blue, but angry, pulsing dark red. Warning, severe physical depletion. Blood and energy critically drained. Continued forced practice will yield 0 experience and will permanently damage lifespan and martial foundation. Irreversible. I clamp my jaw shut and dig my fingers into the mud until they're buried to the second knuckle. I lie face down in the filth for a solid 15 minutes, gathering just enough strength to roll over and prop myself against the crumbling wall. HHHH. HHHH. Listening to my own breathing, which sounds like a broken bellows, my mind slowly shifts from crazed grinder mode back to ice-cold analysis. I was thinking about heaven rewards diligence too simply. I press my hand against my aching stomach and laugh bitterly. Yes, the system ignores talent walls and bottlenecks, but it can't create energy from nothing. Every rep of Baji minor frame uses my entire body's muscles and bones. And that healing warmth the system provides? That's not free magic. It's converting stored energy from my body. Energy conservation. Basic physics from my past life. Should have remembered that. If martial training is a fire, then heaven rewards diligence is the perfect furnace. Zero waste. Every piece of fuel burns completely. But you still need fuel. Without it, the furnace starts burning the furnace itself, which means my blood, my energy, my lifespan. But wait, back on Green Ox Ridge, I trained basic archery all night long and never crashed this hard. Why? I frown, think for 2 seconds, and the answer hits me like cold water. A chill runs down my spine. Archery is an external skill. It mainly burns physical stamina and arm strength. And back then, I was eating whole ironhide rabbits and fat wild boar for every meal. Massive, explosive meat intake. But Baji minor frame and 2 principal stance are internal body tempering martial arts. Completely different energy cost. It clicks with what Zhao Gang taught this morning. The Baji sex, skin tempering, isn't the crude low-level method of scrubbing with sand and beating with sticks. Internal martial arts temper from the inside out. The breathing in the stance, combined with the punching vibrations, creates high-frequency tremors inside your bones and muscles. These tremors stimulate the skin membrane, force blood circulation to intensify, and eventually the old skin sheds to reveal new skin that's dense as cowhide and resistant to blades. Incredible method. But the energy consumption is a bottomless pit, leagues beyond archery practice. The reason I lasted 92 reps tonight wasn't because the workshop dinner was that nourishing. My pupils contract as true horror dawns. It's because I burned through every last drop of beast meat energy I'd been accumulating in my bone marrow over 3 months in the mountains. All of it, gone in one night. The system has no bottlenecks, which means if I train recklessly, it'll happily burn me alive like throwing a whole person into a furnace. Martial arts is for the rich. The ancients weren't lying. I run the numbers. Yesterday, half an hour of stance work gained about 10 points. 1 complete rep of minor frame gains 1 point. Initiation is at 100 points. Minor completion is 1,000. What about major completion? 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. To push just this one basic technique from zero to full mastery might take 10 to 20,000 complete reps, each one burning real calories, real blood energy. According to Zhao Gang, reaching minor completion in both the stance and the fist technique corresponds to early skin tempering realm. Major completion equals mid-level. Full mastery equals late stage. Normal disciples take about 2 years to reach early skin tempering. Privileged kids like Zhou Tong, with premium food, medicinal baths, and natural talent, can do it in under a year. And Zhou Tong already had a head start from before joining, so he's probably going to break through very soon. What about me? Even if I'm lazy about it, just 10 points of progress per day, that's roughly 100 days. Just over 3 months to reach early skin tempering. Compared to normal people? Compared to Zhou Tong? Way ahead. And I'm not the lazy type. I'm a grinder by nature. My actual pace will be several times faster than 3 months. That calms me down considerably. But tonight is done. 1 more rep, and I'm literally killing myself. I drag my jelly legs upright, fumble to the water jar in the corner, and gulp. Down cold water, trying to suppress the volcanic hunger burning in my stomach. Tomorrow, I look at the cold moonlight streaming through the window, eyes sharp and uncompromising. Tomorrow night, I map out my exact limits. On nothing but the sect's 2 meals a day, how many reps of each can this body actually handle without damaging my foundation? I need that number. Only with precise data can I plan my path forward. The night wind whistles through the holes in my roof, carrying the thick smell of blood and bone marrow. My nose twitches. I slowly turn and look through the broken window at the massive slaughterhouse yard outside. Under the moonlight, the stone chopping blocks are glowing dark red. Mountains of beast carcass scraps, offcuts, and leftover meat are piled against the walls like small hills. In the sect's eyes, worthless garbage. In the old butcher's eyes, stinking waste. In MY eyes, that pile of garbage is the fuel that could let me break through my body's limits, fill the energy void, and compress 10 years of training into a few months. That's not trash. That's my ticket to power. Before dawn, gray light barely touching the sky, I'm already up. I dump a bucket of ice-cold well water over my head to rinse the slaughterhouse smell out of my nostrils. Mostly works. Then I jog from the blood and flesh workshop in South City all the way to the main compound for morning training. Half an hour each way, and no, this isn't suffering. This is my warm-up. By the time I hit the training yard, I've got a nice thin layer of sweat going. Perfect. The early market stalls I pass are cruel. Fresh meat buns, lamb soup, everything steaming and fragrant, and specifically designed to torture a hungry man. I swallow my drool about 15 times and keep running. At the training yard, dozens of disciples are following the instructor through bodgy minor frame reps. I slip into the very back row like a ghost. Everyone else is trying to look like a proper martial artist. Chest lifted, back straight, fists snapping with authority. Even the clumsy ones are at least trying to look cool. Not me. I hunch my shoulders. Every punch comes out with this dull, dead, heavy thud. My hip rotation is so stiff you'd think my spine was welded together. I look exactly like an old farmer whacking a stubborn rock with a hoe in a muddy field. Zhao Gang strolls through the formation with his hands behind his back. When he passes Zhou Tong in the front row, he nods approvingly. Zhou Tong's in fresh silk training clothes, moves flowing smooth, and there's even a faint dark gleam rippling under his skin. That's from expensive medicinal baths his family provides daily. At this rate, he'll break into skin-tempering realm within 2 weeks. Then Zhao Gang's eyes drift to the back row. Land on me. His face crumples like he bit into something sour, and he looks away. Brute farmer strength. Hips dead as cast iron. Comprehension so bad he'll never be anything more than a street-level thug who punches drunks. I can practically hear him writing my obituary in his head. I catch that dismissive glance and don't change a single thing. Same rhythm, same dumb-looking punches, same huff-huff sound effects from swinging too hard with no technique. I even add extra force to make the air whoosh louder, because nothing says, harmless idiot, like a guy who thinks volume equals skill. In this sect that eats people alive, a nobody with no money and no family stays alive by being a completely unthreatening lump of muscle. The tree that sticks up gets blown down by the wind. Only by hiding in the stinking mud can you quietly grow the deepest roots. Morning practice ends. I stampede into the mess hall with the other grade C guys, demolish 2 bowls of rough rice, lick every oil drop from my 1 ladle of meat broth, wipe my mouth, and hustle back to the workshop. Today I have important business. Noon sun. The workshop reeks like Hell's Kitchen. Move faster, all of you. This batch of red-scale pig meat goes to Chongqing restaurant before mid-afternoon. Anyone who's late, I'll skin them. Zheng Tu is waving his boning knife around, screaming at the old butchers with grease dripping down his chin. Then he spots me walking to my chopping station. His face meat twitches involuntarily, and the curse he was about to launch dies in his throat. He switches to an awkward fake smile. Ah, Brother Wong. No rush, no rush. Those iron horn bones are tough. Take your time. Don't hurt your hands. Yesterday's image of me splitting a stone slab is clearly still giving him nightmares. Thanks, Chief. I don't even look up. I grab the 80-pound cleaver and get to work. Bang. A leg bone thicker than a man's thigh cracks in half. The old butchers don't even flinch anymore. They've figured out the power dynamic. The boss is scared of me, so they definitely aren't going to start trouble. But what nobody notices is that my chopping technique today is subtly different from yesterday's pure brute force smashing. I spent months as a hunter in the mountains. I know animal bones like the back of my hand, where they're thin, where they're thick, where the joints are weakest. Crack. This time, I twist my wrist slightly and strike the back of the blade into the exact weakest seam of the bone joint. The hard shell pops open, revealing the dark red, fatty, glistening bone marrow inside. Beautiful stuff. I flip the blade like I'm about to chop the bone to bits. But as the knife comes down, my left hand, holding a dirty rag, casually swipes across the cutting board. That prime chunk of bone marrow, along with some bone fragments and blood, gets swept, accidentally, into the waste bucket under the table. Same thing with the deep purple blood clots that congeal near the hearts of freshly slaughtered beasts. I scrape them off the board with the flat of my blade under the excuse of cleaning my workspace and dump them in the waste bucket. Half an hour of this, and Zheng Tu finally sits up from his lounge chair. Brother Wang, he points at my waste bucket, coughing awkwardly. That iron horn marrow is pretty smelly, sure, but you could scrape it out and bring it back to the bunkhouse to render into cooking grease. Why are you throwing it all away? He's not trying to pick a fight. He's upset I'm wasting product he could skim for himself. I stop chopping. I turn around slowly, still holding the dripping 80-pound cleaver in one hand, and look at him with perfectly flat, emotionless eyes. Lost control of my force earlier. I point at a puddle of green liquid on the chopping board. Split open a pig gallbladder and intestine pouch. Bile and feces sprayed all over the marrow. I take one deliberate step closer, letting the massive cleaver swing lazily in the air near his eye level. But if the chief thinks it's not a waste, I can dig through the slop bucket later, pull out the feces-marinated marrow, rinse it off with some water, and you can take it home for dinner tonight. Zheng Tu's eyelid spasms violently. He stares at the gleaming 80-pound blade hovering near his face, then mentally pictures a bowl of pig dung-flavored bone marrow, and his recently consumed tea makes a serious bid for freedom up his throat. No. He recoils into his chair, waving both hands frantically. Thrown away is thrown away. If the boys taste pig crap in their food, they'll blame me. Just get back to your chopping. Sure thing. I turn around and resume work. A tiny, invisible smile flickers behind my eyes. This is called reasonable wastage. Use the biggest knife. Tell the biggest lie. The entire afternoon, I single-handedly chop over 1,000 gene of hard bone. Toward evening, I volunteer to haul the 2 heavy slop buckets full of blood, scraps, and waste. Let me handle the dirty work, Chief. Zheng Tu's face wobbles with delight. Brother Wang, you're such a stand-up guy? Much appreciated. I carry the buckets around to the back of my shack by the sewage pit. Triple check that I'm completely alone. Then I pull out a clean bamboo tube from my belt. Without flinching at the revolting slop, my hands dive in like precision instruments, fishing through the muck. Within minutes, I've extracted every chunk of dark red bone marrow and every deep purple beast heart blood clot, packing them neatly into the bamboo tube. This stuff looks and smells absolutely disgusting. To the sect, it's garbage. To the butchers, it's sewage. To me, it's rocket fuel for martial arts cultivation. The energy-dense superfood that's going to fill my blood reserves and let me grind harder every night. Sunset. The old butchers finish their workshop dinner. A big bowl of thick, greasy beast scrap soup, swap dirty jokes, and drag their exhausted carcasses back to the bunkhouse. I eat my bowl of concentrated broth with everyone else, then slip into my shack. Door bolted, stone wedged against it for good measure. Time to cook. I pull a cracked clay pot from under my bed plank, stack some broken bricks into a mini stove in the corner, and light a few chunks of ironwood charcoal I swiped from the yard. Everything from the bamboo tube goes in. Bone marrow, beast heart blood clots, a splash of water. Lid on. Cook. As the temperature rises, the pot starts bubbling and the smell that comes out is spectacular. Imagine boiling rotten cow intestines that someone left in the sun for a week. In a sewer. During summer. If I tried cooking this in the main compound, I'd be reported for practicing dark sorcery within the hour. But this is the blood and flesh workshop, right next to the sewage pit. The permanent background stench of decades-old rotting organs acts like nature's perfect camouflage. My cooking smell disappears into the ambient horror like a whisper in a thunderstorm. You could walk right past my door and never notice a thing. Half an hour later, I lift the lid. The water's mostly boiled away. What's left is half a pot of thick, dark purple paste with a layer of blood oil floating on top. No salt, no ginger, no seasoning of any kind. It looks like something a witch would curse you with. I don't blink. I grab the scalding pot with rag-wrapped hands, tilt my head back, and pour the entire thing straight down my throat. It's like swallowing a ball of molten lava. A violent, searing wave of energy detonates in my stomach. This is nothing like the watered-down mess hall soup. This is raw, Concentrated, savage power. My scalp tingles. Every pore on my body blasts open simultaneously, spraying out hot sweat that reeks of blood. The energy deficit from last night's crash? Filled instantly. Overfilled. I feel like a balloon being pumped past capacity. There's so much energy it hurts because it has nowhere to go. Now, let's work. I hurl the pot into the corner. Feet slam into the dirt. Last night, I hit 92 reps before crashing. I need 8 more to break through to initiated level. HH. In the darkness, my eyes go sharp, hips and waist fuse into one engine, and I launch into the Baji minor frame. This is nothing like the clumsy farmer act from this morning. Every punch cracks the air with a muffled sonic pop. Every movement is precise, explosive, lethal. Rep 1. Experience 1. Progress. 93 100ths. Rep 2. Experience 1. With this pot of marrow paste fueling me, I'm a perpetual motion machine. Zero fatigue. Zero soreness. Rep 7. Rep 8. On the final closing form of the 8th rep, the boiling blood energy inside me peaks at exactly the right moment. My brain explodes with golden light. The blue panel ripples like water. The words, "Not yet initiated," shatter and reassemble. Ding. Baji minor frame breakthrough. Initiated, current progress. Initiated, 1/1000th. HUMM. A bizarre vibration erupts from deep inside my body, like a bowstring snapping. Not imagination. I can physically feel it. My bones and muscles start producing a high-frequency microtremor. Tiny internal oscillations, like thousands of miniature files grinding and polishing the underside of my skin. SSSSS. My entire skin surface turns blood red. A wave of stinging pain, like being stabbed by 10,000 needles simultaneously, sweeps across every inch of my body. I clamp my jaw so hard my molars creak, but I don't make a sound. This is it. The essence of internal martial arts, strengthening the outside from within. The baptism you must endure to step toward the skin-tempering realm. The pain lasts about 10 minutes, then recedes like a tide. I'm gasping, drenched in sweat. I look down at my arms. In the moonlight streaming through the roof holes, I can see a layer of gray-black dead skin covering my body. I rub my arm hard. Sheets of dead skin flake off in thick rolls, like those gross exfoliating sessions at a bathhouse, except this is layers of it. Underneath, new skin. Not the sickly yellow I've been wearing since I got to this world, but a subtle bronze with a visible toughness to it. I grab a broken roof tile with a sharp edge and drag it hard across my forearm. Before today, that would have split me open and drawn blood. Now, the tile leaves nothing but a faint white scratch mark. Holy crap, that's amazing. I can't help grinning like a maniac. But the real shock is still coming. The panel refreshes, and at the very top, the lifespan number changes. Lifespan, 1754ths, 1755ths. I stare at that number and forget to breathe. 54 became 55. 1 extra year of life. Just from getting a basic fist technique to initiated level. I remember clearly, when I first transmigrated, starving in the mountains, my maximum lifespan was 52. After months of eating beast meat and recovering my health, it climbed to 54. And now, practicing a technique so common every street thug knows it, I just stole a year back from death. Longevity. Martial arts longevity. My breathing gets rough and heavy. In this garbage world, people die like flies. A cold breeze, a gang fight, a manager having a bad day. Any of these can end you. Regular folks who make it past 60 throw a celebration like they won the lottery. I thought martial arts was just about being strong enough to eat real meals and not get slaughtered like livestock. But now, staring at that extra year, I finally touched the true secret at the heart of all martial cultivation. Seizing heaven and earth's creation. Stealing the mysteries of sun and moon. Martial arts isn't just about killing. It's actual life extension. Real, measurable, more years on the clock, immortality cultivation. Fist technique to initiated adds 1 year. What about the stance reaching initiated? What about minor completion? Major completion? Full mastery. What if I cross all 5 gates and reach the legendary blood transmutation realm? I look at my blood-stained hands, filthy, scarred, and absolutely pulsing with vitality, and my grin stretches so wide it hurts. The door to the great path of longevity just cracked open for a bottom-feeding mudcrawler like me. But tonight isn't just about celebrating. I still need hard data. Time to calculate my daily grinding capacity with this bonus marrow paste added to the equation. I settle back into the two principles stance and start the clock. Half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. The remaining marrow energy gets squeezed out drop by drop, converted into system repair warmth. When I finally hit the 2-hour mark, legs trembling, panel reading not yet initiated, 66 out of 100. That familiar stomach emptying weakness starts creeping back. I stop immediately. Controlled cooldown. Soaked in sweat head to toe, but my eyes are blazing. Got the numbers. I drop onto my plank bed and start doing mental math. Tonight's half pot of marrow paste, plus 2 regular meals, supported 8 reps of fist practice and 2 solid hours of stance work. That's roughly 50 points of progress fueled by the bonus. Food alone, add in normal morning training and breakfast, and my sustainable daily maximum, without damaging my foundation, is around 60 points of proficiency per day, 60 points a day. If I dump everything into fist work, that's less than 20 days to complete the 1,000-point bar and push Baji minor frame to minor completion. Then another 20 days or less for 2 principal stance to hit minor completion, which means what takes normal people 2 bone-grinding years to achieve. And what takes a golden boy like Zhou Tong with his medicinal baths and family resources 1 year. I can do in under 40 days. 40 days. That's not training speed. That's robbery. And every breakthrough adds years to my lifespan. This isn't just a good deal. This is the greatest trade in history. This mud pit can't hold me much longer. I kick the cracked pot into the corner, don't even bother taking my clothes off, and sprawl flat on the hard plank bed like a starfish. Somewhere outside, a stray cat yowls. I let out a long, satisfied, blood-flavored belch and pass out with a smile on my face.